You guys are all ignoring what the actual issue is. The issue is not sex, all right? The issue isn't the fact that incels exist. The issue is the ones that are idealized to fucking hate women. Chad, do we think this is going to be actually, think we're actually going to have any solid conversations here?
Yes, from Twitch.
Or did I sign up for
on Twitter
a shit show?
And then showed on.
Welcome everyone to the Political Shit Show. I haven't done this in a month. I really didn't.
Here we go,
I'm
boys.
back doing this hopefully every Saturday. We'll still be expecting a few more people to hop in as this is. So, topic. Are incels and Redpillers bad? Are they bad for society? Are people like Andrew Tate literally the Antichrist? Are incels bad for women? Are they just evil? Should we just start lining them against the wall? What the fuck's an incel? What's a Redpiller? We're gonna start with opening statements with Alec Gunter and make them quick. Make them like a minute because there's a bunch of us here.
Alrighty, hello everybody. My name is Alec Gunter. You can find me on twitch.tv/Alec Gunter. That's ALECGUNTER.
Do we all have the same order for
You can also
this?
find me at youtube.com/Alec
Can we
Gunter
just go in a line?
Quick opening statement. No, incels are not evil. Yes, they're cringe. I think that there is a very clear pipeline and a very clear problem going on. I think that men, do certainly need to have their issues addressed. I think that the left does a very piss poor job of that, but that does not excuse their behavior. That does not excuse their dialogue and how they're pulling more and more young men into the incel pipeline. And yeah, well, I guess we'll get into the specifics of that discussion, but that's about it.
Okay, back it.
Incels are the single greatest threat to our society that has possibly ever existed, far and away above anything that anyone else is talking about. They're a greater threat than climate change. They're a greater threat than kind of political instability caused by Russia. And ultimately, what we need to do is take swift and decisive action now to make sure all these men who cannot get a date are put on an island together to develop some sort of pseudo-homosexual relationships so that they can find some kind of fulfillment.
I'd be down, though.
Because we're reaching a point now in our society where if we don't do something swiftly, then all of us, and I cannot stress this enough, and this is a fact, will die.
Okay, to be clear, we're also talking about Redpillers. So let's not favorite out Redpillers. We're talking about them as well. All right, Flow Trace.
I think incels and Redpillers are wrong, but they're a natural reaction to the miserable state of men's rights, both legally and culturally, in our society. The reality is there's no serious movement to sort of address the problems that men have on the right or the left. The right reinforces these things. I mean, last week Matt Walsh was tweeting about how gay men should be able to adopt because men are worse caretakers, and then you wonder why men become second-class citizens in divorce courts when they're trying to, get rights for their children. And meanwhile, on the left, we're too obsessed with deconstructing male privilege. I think the reality is there's no serious movement to address a lot of the cultural issues that men are having, and these movements are the result of not addressing that.
All right, Gorbsnik, did I say it right?
Gorbsink.
Gorbsink, there we go.
Yeah, I think pretty similar to Flowtrace. There's no one addressing the actual issues that are the root cause of incels and Redpillers. That's what actually matters. I think that while I don't agree with the views of either group, everyone has a right to have their opinion, and you can't just fucking put someone on an island because of what they think.
Yes, we can.
Ignoring chat.
I like the island idea. No, being real, I think mental health is the incel problem. The red pill problem is a huge mental health problem. I think technology and these algorithms are playing a huge role into getting these mentally vulnerable people into deeper and deeper into these circles.
Stardust is here, boys.
It's thank God this shit
Game on,
exists when I was in high
motherfuckers.
school, because
Actually, Stardust ain't that bad.
True.
Could have gone down this fucking rabbit hole, and who knows? These are potential domestic terrorists that. We need to change these algorithms to promote, channels that are deconstructing.
I'm guessing once we get to this bottom line of people, that's when it's going to start going off the rails, because I know some of them. Nonsmoker and the bottom line. That's when it's going to go fucking
Dr. Joe Mama.
Whack.
Yeah, so I just want to start with none of this stuff is American centric. This is kind of an issue that exists in actually most countries. Sexlessness has increased in most countries, but it really hasn't increased. It's actually been pretty stagnant since 1994. And so this idea that technology is the primary contributor to the rise in sexlessness when it's roughly been stagnant since 1994 is it's goofy. It's a lot of the only this rhetoric is unique to the internet. a lot of the issues are related to economics and knowledge economics. And maybe that's something we get into later if we ever actually get the opportunity.
He's gonna have to
delve into
make
some
that
of the data.
connection better
But
if he's gonna
regardless,
claim that one.
I don't really think that incels are evil. I kind of just pity them, to be honest. It's a sad existence.
Yeah.
Non-smoker.
Facts.
Yeah, I think incels don't exist. I think the whole thing is kind of like a psyop. I think that it's true to some extent that people are less inclined to have sex, at least as much as they used to. I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. I think people are less social now than they used to be. There's a lot of different reasons for that. But I really, I challenge the idea that there is like a discrete group of people with a discrete set of beliefs that you can label as incels, and there's one way to approach all of them.
All right, Beetle, have fun.
It's a lot more complicated than that, and I think a lot of this banter is just like very online kind of nonsense.
All right, Reservoir.
I think that socialization as we currently practice it has led to a lot of forced and non-consensual relationships that we have with the societies that we're in. This rejection or acceptance of it has led to incellers and red pillars who have legitimate, honest, and real ways of looking at the world as it is. I think going ahead and ignoring that there is some validity and truth to the statements that they make is to be ignorant of the fact that, guess what? We are socialized to be this way. I think that we can work on socialization within, early ages to make it better. And I would love to talk more about socialization because I am your new dad at twitch.tv/Reservoir.
Smith.
Incels are the future of feminism, and where feminism has failed, incels are now thriving. They have criticisms of women that should stand alongside criticisms of men, and they're the reasonable counterpart. They end up hating women, and that turns them
maybe the reasonable counterpart of like third wave feminism,
like past a point of no return.
I could see that
towards the hatred point, but their criticisms of women, that's usually the place where they stem from, and they generally align with like a lot of trans people too, and it's a shame that we ostracize them as much, and we should accept them with open arms and listen to their criticisms. And even MGTOW, Red Pill, I think Red Pill tends to be a little bit more gamified, a little bit more focused on like trying to win the system, which is like not an ideal system, I think. But MGTOW, I think, is a
wrap it up.
Reasonable solution.
All right, somebody online.
Yeah, so we kind of have to define these terms. We've done a little bit of talking about it. Incel really isn't there's this specific thing that the term actually means, but you have to break that apart a little bit more. Incel is like the slur that we use to describe people that are rejected from society and that are harmful to society as a whole. All school shooters are incels by default, whether or not they've had sex. So yeah, incels are a bad thing. We need to separate them from society, and we need to figure out what's wrong with their brain and try to fix it. As far as red pillars go, this is a particular type of guy that is trying to get with particular types of women. They have like skills and techniques and strategies that they exchange with each other. These are also shit people, and they're trying to date other shit people. And they're really mad that the rest of the world isn't as shitty as themselves, and they're trying to convince everybody else that the world is as shitty as they pretend that it is. So again, they're all shitty people. Their brains are kind of broken. Red pillars are a little bit more like in line with reality, but it's a fucked up, dirty reality that you don't have to live within.
All right, Flamenco.
I can see that.
Yeah, I think that in general, incels are more of a product of a variety of new social experiences and social interactions that probably didn't exist back then. Although some of them do exist and exist in a much more hyper form now than it did before. As for like red pill people,
I'm gonna do that right now.
I think they make pretty decent descriptive claims about reality as it currently exists. Although I will say that people like Andrew Tate kind of, instead of trying to lead people to, actualize better outcomes for themselves, sort of lean into the sort of cynical and hedonistic, just ride into the decline ideal. I don't really think that it's I don't really think that the sexual marketplace dictates that you need to like pimp out women on cam horse sites or some shit like that.
All right, Sondsol.
Yeah, so I think that the red pill and incel phenomenon is a reaction to real problems, but it's an overcorrection, and it's kind of sad to see so many older men who were losers throughout their lives kind of get a lot of attention online and then sell this really fucked up worldview to younger men who then pick it up and then continue to push it out into the world. I think that there needs to be better alternatives for young men out there, especially young men, because once you hit 30, you hit the wall, men. Sorry, folks. Once you hit 30, you hit the wall. No one wants to date you anymore. So the young men, they need to have a better role model out there.
Your speech, bitch. I already did my opening statement.
Or fucking Sneeko or the fresh and fit dudes. Yeah, that's my basic opinion on it. But it's gonna.
Are you able to turn yourself up?
Yeah, you're very quiet.
Very quiet.
I've got you at 165, and you're still way too low.
That's a really kind thing to do on a panel like this.
That's good. You're good now. That's good. All right, the Spartacus.
No, I gotta turn it back down. God damn.
All right, I think this is exactly what happens when mid issues are left away too long. Is that you end up with people that are taking these issues but take it to the other extreme. But I at least have some sympathy for these people because I feel like they're actually trying. They're seeing real issues that exist in the world, and they're trying to give their best. While I think might be a little bit flawed, maybe more than a little bit with certain people, but they're trying to give their best way out of it. And unfortunately, when you surround yourself in a echo chamber, the ideas get worse and worse and worse and worse. This is why these topics need to be brought up more. This is why men's rights need to be brought up more. It needs to be discussed more as society rather than pushed to the side.
The Alex Kirsch Project.
Yeah, so when it comes down to incels and red pillars, I consider incels just guys that just don't understand what rejection means and just need to understand that, you know, not everybody wants to sleep with them, and they need to understand what it means to be like desirable. They need to first love themselves in a way. But just because you get rejected doesn't mean you should treat women like shit, essentially, as they are being led to believe by certain individuals. Red pillars are people that say come out of the matrix, but they live in the fucking matrix as a whole themselves. They don't live in a reality world. These are just guys that are saying enough shit to coax enough young men to follow their path. But the fact of the matter is that we do need to focus on how are we going to basically bring young men into being actual men. Because I'm a firm believer, if you have to say you're an alpha male, if you have to brag about being an alpha male, you're not really an alpha male. You're just compensating for something that you don't actually have. There's actually good people out there that can actually present good arguments and can actually teach you how to be an actual good, strong individual person, because a lot of these red pillars and all these incels are teaching men not to actually have some level of vulnerability. They can't go to therapy. They can't feel weak and vulnerable in front of their partners and things like that because they're saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," but they're gonna leave you and shit like that, which is completely fucking wrong. There's a lot of things that men can do to be better about themselves, and incels and red pillars are just not evil. They're just misguided. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, they're trying, but they're wrong.
Yeah, my name's Tom. I go by Tom Foolery Show. Mostly stream on YouTube, sometimes on Twitch. I guess I thought I was going to be anti-incel, but based on most of these takes so far, I'm probably going to end up being pro compared to most of these people. I think incels exist because of systemic issues. I believe they exist partly because of feminism and because of other issues with incel communities adapting to society and new social norms. I think overall, feminism had its extremists early on. Red Pill does as well. And I think that incels just need to learn to adapt to society, and society needs to learn to actually address the issues that are currently happening with young men having trouble finding partners.
I feel like pretty much everyone has said a very similar idea.
Yeah,
we all
I think that
agree
Red Pill
to most
is
extents.
just looking at the world the way it is and just making a description and a criticism of it. I don't really think that a lot of the ideas are really thought out by the people who criticize people being red pill. And I think that for the most part, a lot of the things that Andrew Tate and those type of people, or like Kevin Samuels, are advocating for, women actually do agree with those things. It's just the rhetoric, and since it's presented from a male point of view, that they have such a problem with it.
All right, Stardust.
Hey, what's up? I feel a little bit bad for the incels, you know? I feel a little sympathy for them. I feel like, you know, the dating market is changing, the way that we date is changing, and it's confusing and it's changing so rapidly, we can't keep up with it. What are the rules? We don't know what the rules are. We need some good male role models for these males. Um, and I think red pillars, you know, I'm not a huge fan of the red pill. I'm really into the white pill. There are dudes, there's a little small group of people in that red pill community that consider themselves
Yo,
white
is it
pillars,
just me, or
and
is
they're
like
much
everyone
more
having the same
hopeful.
fucking
They're
take here?
much more positive. They're much more you know, kind and compassionate than their red pill counterparts, and I'm really a fan of that new world movement popping up.
Last but not least, vigilante.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely feel bad for the incels as well. They're just poor, sad little guys that can't get any pussy. The red pillars, I mean,
Don't forget about the bussy.
It's a weird way of looking at the world. It's pretty old school. It's just looking at the world from a misogynistic point of view. So,
all right, this is Pligo Shit Show. Go to war. Floor's open.
I just want to say that, like, with all, like, obviously, I want to put incels on an island. I think that's the right thing to do. But incels have given us incel punk rock, which currently is possibly the best genre of music being produced. It's the most unique. It's the most interesting. People like Negative XP are brilliant, and also they never copyright strike anything, so I can use it on the stream, and it's fantastic. So I think that they're like, I just want to throw that out there to the people supporting incels. There are like good sides to this movement, and you know, music is important to us.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World ruined an entire generation of women is always a really good song. I have to say.
MK Ultra Victim is so good as well.
Yeah.
I'll start off by saying I do think that like a lot of the social issues do start with feminism. I think that like a lot of things shifted a little bit too far over to one side. I think that like women moving up in status while still expecting men to have higher status than them is a big part of it. They haven't changed their expectations of men while what we expect of women has gone up. And so I think that that leaves a lot of men at the bottom. And then obviously there's issues with like social media where boys from an early age have issues socializing. Women learn to socialize much earlier than men do, but then men learn to play video games earlier and get on computers earlier and on the internet earlier, and they make friends in very antisocial ways to where they're not learning how to communicate like the rest of us are. And I do think that like there ends up being a lot of systemic issues that grow over time based on social norms that we're currently building and not adjusting to.
I don't think it's necessarily that we're
changed all the
building.
time,
I don't think it's necessarily that we're building these social norms. I think that going ahead and looking at classically, you know, women, where it would be just going ahead and having all the girls around, cooking dinner, you know, building that whole thing up. You know, I'm only 33. I still remember that shit happening around holidays. And then the guys, we would just watch football and dick off and shit. You know, eventually they realized, hey, we didn't have any children, so we're going to teach you how to do it, Resi. And like, so now I have a love for baking and cooking and doing all that stuff, having like that social, you know, part of it. This is just the way that it's always been. Men have never don't have this original social shit unless we're going to war. And I think that without like, you know, massive wars breaking out all the time, men aren't building that camaraderie with other men, and that ultimately is reducing any way for them to socialize and make these groups with like some sort of societal function.
So what you're saying is we need World War III.
Well, the thing is, like, a lot of these guys,
all men do want to fight and die.
Red pillars and incels are saying that men shouldn't be cooking because men should not be cooking because cooking is like a feminine thing, which is completely absurd. Cooking is not necessarily a feminine thing. Like, being like self-reliant upon a man is very, very important. Yeah, Malik.
But here's the thing though. Like, barbecue has always been a masculine thing. Doing a barbecue is a highly masculine thing.
Well,
that
what
is
about
cooking
baking a
and
cake?
that is socialization. And we don't even fucking have barbecue anymore, dude.
Yeah, well, you can have barbecue. Who says you can't have fucking barbecue?
Who doesn't have
Nobody says you
barbecue
can't have
anymore?
barbecue.
I want to respond really quickly to something the guy
Literally
underneath me said. I haven't remember what is your name? Tom Foolery. I don't think that feminism has gone too far. I think that the feminist criticisms of men are fine. It's just they're ignoring any criticisms of women. So, like we're saying, you shouldn't do this, man. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this. But we're not like also applying criticisms back to women. So it's like women are maintaining all these 1950s social they're allowed to be like sexual objects and like promote themselves in that way where men don't really have that kind of power. And it's like. Well, they're getting their cake and eating it too, I think.
I wouldn't say feminism's gone too far, but I would say that like we've gotten used to worrying about women's issues and not men's issues, and that right now it's hard for us to imagine that men would have issues with women, right? Like my issue isn't that feminism has gone too far, it's that we have adjusted our expectations of women, yet women have not adjusted their expectations of men, and I think that this changes the dating.
Do you think that there's an overcorrection problem there, Tom?
Yeah,
the problem is though is that other men,
problem. It's more about expectations.
The problem is though is that it's other men putting other men down. Like if like a man says really I have a problem, other men call him a fucking.
Hold on now. A lot of the issues that are brought up aren't actually like women being the issue. It's men being the issue.
I missed this show. I really do.
Oh my god! Please.
I don't even know how that
Everybody shut the fuck up.
No,
Alex.
I don't. Because I
deny
helped
that
them with
women
my
might
penis.
I'm gonna let this just
contribute to
happen.
the problem.
I can't hear anything because everyone's talking at fucking once.
Guys,
You're talking over the last person talking, Alex. That's stupid.
Can we let the incels for a minute, please?
Over him.
Blame fucking me, right? Blame me, right?
Guys, listen to me. Reservoir was onto something. We need to send the incels to war. We need to make a platoon of incels.
God damn it!
No, it's all of them.
They're bonding.
Okay,
Worst platoon
no,
ever.
actually, no.
Men
Even beyond that, right? There's I was looking at Sorry, what were you saying, Floatress?
I was going to say, I think it's true that men and women both contribute to the problem. It seems pretty dumb to focus on one over the other. I think the biggest, I think that tomfoolery was sort of onto something when he talks about the fact that I don't think that feminism is necessarily a problem, but the problem is we don't seem to have a real bed of advocacy for a lot of the unique problems that men face. And if you want to talk about why that is, I don't know, that's a really complicated question. It seems like most of these movements are usually driven by the group that is primarily affected. Like the civil rights movement was primarily driven by black people. Feminism was primarily driven by women. And man, it seems like as men, we have a really big problem like focusing on this kind of shit as opposed to other things, for better or for worse. So on the one hand, you know, men seem to do really well in very highly competitive environments like work and sports and stuff like that. But my God, I don't know, maybe this is just my personal life, but speaking as a adolescent male who's been in a lot of adolescent male friend groups, oh my God, if I could tell you the amount of times we've autistically debated over the correct optimization in a video game versus like talked about how we felt, my lord, like the balance is completely out of whack. So it feels like there's a real problem of men who are always going to need to be the primary drivers of talking about men's issues have a real problem of actually being able to do that.
No.
Because they're ostracized.
So Fortress. Give me one second.
They're just forced to shut
I'm gonna
up.
address why. Give me 1 second. So when we talk about this, you're saying that it's mainly men. Men don't talk to men about how they feel. And it shouldn't be mainly driven by women. This is a societal issue, and it's been pushed among society. This isn't a men issue. This isn't a women issue. Men's rights is a societal issue. It's a men's and a women's issue. Because what happens if you show your emotions to a woman and you're dating? Guess what? You're too nice. You're too emotional. I don't want to date someone like you because my God, you can't even handle your emotions.
I
so
agree
like
100%.
it's all across the fucking board. But that's how you get incels. That's how you get incels.
This wait. Here's the thing. Sprout nailed something here, though, right?
Always going to be the primary drivers, right? Like, absolutely, civil rights didn't involve just black people, but if black people had been the primary drivers, black people are always going to be more interested in civil rights of black people than non-black people. In the same way that men are always going to be more interested in the problems facing men than other people. That's not to say other people don't contribute to it. That's not to say that we don't need women to step up as well, but it is to say that there's a really big, it's no surprise that the group that has a real big problem talking about these kinds of issues seems to be lagging behind and advancing their advocacy related to those issues.
Can I talk about?
When they actually try to advocate, wait.
Like, hold on. if we live in a patriarchal system largely written and governed by men, and like our systems are designed around getting men into like top positions and all the other claims that have been made for multiple years, and then like the idea that men aren't advocating for their own interests seems a little fucking odd. Could it be that like actually a lot of men don't seem to actually care about these things? No, but like, why is it then? Why is it we're having to have these conversations now?
So the reason, okay, stop.
Slow the fuck down.
I would say
This
that
is why it's called a
implies that
shit
there's
show.
no like negative social ramifications for a man to advocate on his own behalf based on being a man. That's kind of
hurts men. Like, that's just fact.
largely, it's kind of largely frowned upon in current society with whenever a certain group that is perceived to be in like a dominant position to advocate for its own interests as opposed to a group that's in a less dominant position to advocate for their own self-interest based on that identity group.
Men who advocate for themselves are called incels.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, you also have the issue where there are men who advocate.
They're still
I need to bring some clarity to this real quick. We treat men
referred
and
to as
women-
men's rights activists, and it's still pejorative.
Which, by the way, I want to go back to what Beckett said about men advocating.
Can we go back to what
themselves.
Rez was saying? Because Rez has been.
Hey, can we go back to what Alexa was saying?
Can we go back
I want to talk about social contagion. Right?
Here's a legitimate question. Do you guys actually think that women look down at men who advocate for themselves or who show some sort of strong?
Yes.
Men and women do it equally. Men and women
Absolutely.
Men and women do it equally.
I think look at how bisexual men are treated. Yeah, absolutely.
In
so it's your fault. You asked everybody.
in like more like I guess lefty groups, is men's rights activists not used as a pejorative term to insult somebody?
Hold on. I asked you women. That's not what I asked you. I asked. Jesus, the question that I asked was: do women look down upon men who advocate for themselves?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So it's like,
no fucking shot. If you guys have ever talked to like a woman who's been married for like 10, 20, 30, 40 years, like some older woman who's been in the same marriage the entire time, like what do they say about their husbands? They love them because they're strong, but they can still be able to express themselves to their wives.
Sure.
Oh, so you're not talking to the women that get beaten then?
Hold on.
You're not talking to the women that get beaten.
They can protect the family.
You're selecting for women that have healthy relationships. We're talking about.
Oh, is that what you think?
Point out, Jesus. Please.
So
listen,
say that
no.
Holy fucking
Sondsol, please tell me what you think.
Yeah, holy shit, you guys have zero fucking impulse control. Holy shit. Okay, so like they're gonna talk about all the things that are like traditionally masculine about their husband that like we would look at and say, wow, this is like what a man is. But they're also gonna say like he can be vulnerable with me when he needs to be, right? He can be a good father and like explain to our children like what good morals and bad morals are, while still being understanding of like why they might have done the thing that was wrong, right?
Dude,
like,
I'm trying to find a time to butt in. I've tried to butt in like 4 times and I haven't shut up.
Second part of what I'm talking about, right? Like where you're not showing any fucking emotion, like, but that's still what women tend to go for.
You're talking about a specific group of women, though. That's the issue.
You're talking about 1 second. He's talking about a marriage. He's not talking about the dating scene. He's talking about someone who's already. He's talking about someone who's already succeeded. Wait, stop. He's already talking about someone who's already succeeded in a relationship and has gotten to this point. Holy shit!
Listen, you guys are all missing out on the fact that if I go on a date with a girl and she starts crying in the middle of the first date, I'm walking the fuck out of there because that bitch is a psychopath. We treat everybody the exact same way. People whine and cry and their fucking emotions are out on the outside constantly.
Horseradish, I did not know it was going to be this many people.
It has nothing to do with
not being able to keep their shit together. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. You gotta be able to handle your shit.
With the
And
girl
women are
okay,
able to be able to do
that. Back to what
do you generally have women crushing on the first date?
Please.
So wait, no, that doesn't matter. Don't go down somebody's rabbit hole. Just trying to drag us down a rabbit hole.
Keep that in mind. It's called the political shit show.
Sondsol, you're talking about someone who's already succeeded in a relationship. You're not talking about the dating scene.
Yeah.
The dating scene is completely different like puzzle. So when you're trying to be in the dating scene, you're talking to
I want to listen to Spartacus, and then I want to respond to him. Don't fucking scream.
Yeah.
What? Mute yourself.
Okay.
Holy fucking shit.
You're talking to women you don't know at this point. And women that you don't know are going to be far more likely to turn you down when they see you're too emotional than women that you've already dated for several years, that you've already grown that trust and relationship with, that they expect to be the person you turn to when you are emotional. At that point, they expect it, but when you're dating, that's not necessarily what they expect.
Okay, can I respond to that? Okay, so the idea that, like, number one, I think that somebody, despite his fucking crazy interruption a second ago, I think he's right. Yeah, like, if you're going to be sitting there sobbing on the first date, yeah, the girl's probably not going to want to be with you to go to the second fucking date. But if you're talking about, like, if you're going on dates and you, like, can have a good time the first couple of dates, right? You start to get to know the fucking person, and then you can, like, open up to them a little bit. Like, yeah, that is what people are looking for in their partner, someone that they can connect with on a deeper level. That it's not like women are like, oh, well, this guy, like, showed some emotion that wasn't instant rage or, like, wanting to murder someone or, like, other than that, like, stoicism. Like, women aren't looking for those qualities in men, right?
We just saw the
fucking social.
They're looking. No. We just saw the streamer where the girl starts going after the guy.
Situations where, like, you're talking about guys who, like, can at least get on a fucking date. You keep having these conversations where it's like, oh, well, what if you're in this healthy relationship? We all know what the meme of an incel is like, because they're all like, oh, well, if my chin's the wrong fucking shape, no one's going to date me. I need to be 6 foot, and otherwise I'm going to die alone. There is, like, a deeper thing going on there with the psychology of men who are under these influences, and this is also leading on to why the red pill movement's having such an effect, because it's teaching men how to look like an idealized version, because they think women are fucking automatons. They can't get to the point of having a healthy relationship because they don't have, like, a realistic view of another type of human being. It's like trying to explain to a racist.
That's my critique. Is that I think that the red pill is giving bad advice that you can show some emotion to someone that you've been in.
Okay, I would like to butt in here.
Go ahead,
I would like
Stardust.
to butt in here. Yeah. So I think that there's a very good point here being made, and that I think a lot of incels and a lot of these people who subscribe to these ideas may be a result or a symptom. I don't know, but it shows that there is an increase in body dysmorphia for men. Right? There is an increase in body dysmorphia for men, and
Ever since Dragon Ball Z.
It's increasing
What a shit show.
to percentages that are now problematic, that are now causing trouble for a significant population of men, and I think I could see this actually as very much as a public health problem that we could address.
Well, here's the hold on, wait. Okay, let me can I please step in? Wait, stop.
I think she's pretty on with that one. Not gonna lie.
He hasn't talked yet. Joe or Nonsmoker.
Moderator, rein them in.
Yep. So I'm gonna butt and I'm gonna talk. Yeah.
Let's go, Joe.
I've been listening to this entire conversation, and it's extremely fucking stupid because everyone's talking about their feelings on everything, and no one has done any research on any of this shit. Do we think that the rise in sexlessness is unique to men?
No, it's not.
It's they run parallel to each other. Okay, good. Because we're talking about
I wouldn't say parallel. I would say that women generally would still have an easier time finding a
Studies have come out to show that women are having less sex at the same rates that men are. Yeah, it's only a few years behind.
Women are talking about shorter amounts of time. Men are more lonely over longer amounts of time.
No, it's from the same study.
Everybody shut the fuck up for a second, all right? So they run parallel. Women have more sex than men on average, right? But they run parallel to each other. It's because the issue of sexlessness is independent from a lot of the shit that we're talking about is stupid subjective individualism when the issues are economic. It's ridiculous. There's so much empirical data that shows when we have a rise of sexlessness, it's due to a recession. It's due to property inflation, and it's due to knowledge economics. That's the primary drivers of sexlessness. And the incel community is extremely small. And so we're talking about like this rise of sexlessness, and it's almost like implied as like a male specific thing. You guys haven't said that, right? But that's kind of the implication. And it's we're not addressing any of the actual issues at hand. It's just like fucking.
We're not just talking about.
I have been advocating for femcells for a very long time. Okay, femcells exist.
So basically, what Joe said, what Joe said literally echoes exactly what Tom Foolery said, right? Where it's like, again, yeah, women are in better economic advantageously conditions. They're trying to still do the way that it used to be, which is date up, right?
That's the same. No, that's not what I said.
Okay, what did you say?
That's why complete misinterpretation.
Yeah, all right.
The primary driving factor to the rise. The primary factor in the rise of sexlessness is people living at their parents' house and going to college. Those are the primary driving factors of sexlessness.
Hold on, wait. Why are those?
I mean, there is a subset there, but like,
That's true.
there's subsets of every group that are
Say it again,
up.
please.
It is economic crunch. It is economic crunch, but the thing behind that, there still is this unhealthy dynamic between men and women that economic crunch pulls out. Yeah. That's what it's showing us, something that's underneath there all the time.
These issues, so like I said before, the stagnation of like the rise in sexual partners, it was roughly been the same since 1994, right? We've been doing research on involuntary celibacy since the 1940s.
Hold on. You're looking at the wrong thing, though. You keep talking about sexlessness. Well, we're not just talking about sexlessness. We're talking about loneliness.
What is
incels being radicalized by social media pipelines?
What is an incel?
It's somebody who, but it's not just.
What is the root word of an incel?
You're talking about a symptom of loneliness, whereas loneliness is a causal issue of them being sexless.
Okay. Can you explain to me?
Over and over, like the same thing with the economic issue. You're talking about a cause of another issue instead of talking about the issue.
For what 2 words?
Say that again.
It's a portmanteau for what 2 words? The word incel.
Involuntarily.
You can reduce it to that, and it'd be really obnoxious if you did. But
you're just ignoring what the actual issue is.
Just like your statement about economics, you're talking about correlation equals causation with the economics. We're talking about there's another level deeper than that.
Economics.
Wait,
you guys are fucking glossing over this shit.
Wait a minute. Can we go back to? We know that a lot of red pillars and a lot of incels are massively obsessed with their bone structure, with their facial shape, with things like this. It is a very clear indicator that all of these men have some sort of body dysmorphia, and we need to actually tackle this from a health perspective.
I think okay. So when it comes down to the incel communities, a lot of them have the main problem that like a lot of these guys have dealt with is they have this like fear of rejection, and once they get rejected, they feel like the whole world is coming down upon them, and then they listen to somebody's like, you know what, this guy, I identify with him. Essentially, he's talking about how I need to improve my body and I need to be a better person, stuff like that. But then they kind of take it just because of like
the fucking culture of the panel or something else.
To get women is to be this
but also
alpha male. You need to treat women a certain way so that way where they respect you. The best way in order, like, when it comes down to it, the best thing that you can definitely say is to not pretend to be somebody that you're not. That's the number one thing. This is coming from somebody that had dry spells for many years.
I can say this much.
The best thing that a man could do is just be himself. Because
Alex, I'm gonna stop you there. No.
You're not gonna stop me.
This is not a date.
Don't be boring. Listen, you guys you can stop me all you fucking want to, but I'm telling you that the best thing that a man could do is just be him fucking self, love himself for who he is, and not pretend to be somebody he fucking isn't. Simple as that.
Before we get off of the data point and we never come back, I'd just like to ask Joe.
Shut up! I want to hear Nonsmoker.
Thank you. Jesus Christ. Look, real quick, okay, because I know a lot of people want to talk. I'm going to argue that there's actually no way that anybody could come up with a perfect dating market where everyone is going to get laid. There's going to be a percentage of people who aren't going to be able to get laid or laid with regularity, and that's just how it is. And the fact that we're trying to overanalyze this to the point of we have to come up with some sort of public health solution to resolve that. I get being compassionate, but I also think that this is a little silly, right? Since time immemorial, men have tried to figure out how to get women who are not attracted to them to sleep with them. Some guys succeed, some guys don't. That's just life, and if you can't get laid, you got to look at yourself and try to really understand why that is. And it might have something to do with looks, but usually it has a lot more to do with you as a person, and the shit that you do with your life. And if you're that unattractive to people that no one will fuck you at all ever, then that probably says a lot about, the way your life is going, and you should probably make some practical changes. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
like,
can't just be yourself.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, also, I feel like we're no, wait. Let me make one point real quick.
Go on. You said fucking nothing. Go
I
on.
have a question for Nonsmoker real quick.
No, hold on. Can we hear something from Gore? Because he's been quiet all the time. He wanted to say something. Let him speak.
Okay, I feel like you guys are all ignoring what the actual issue is. The issue is not sex, all right? The issue isn't the fact that incels exist. The issue is the ones that are idealized to fucking hate women, all right? The ones that are going to actually commit damage to society and danger to women. People not having sex doesn't fucking matter. People always have and always will not be able to get sex. The issue is when you have people who are spouting things that is domestic violence and things like that. That's where the actual issue comes up. Not the fact that people just aren't having sex.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a couple questions, Gorps. Let me ask you a couple questions. So when you say that sexlessness is not the issue, you're talking about extremized individuals, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you talk about extremized individuals, these individuals have been so far down this rabbit hole that they've had the ability to become extreme. This isn't like the first interaction they've had with the group. This is the umpteenth interaction they've had with the group, and now they're in a just an echo chamber where everything that someone else says is correct. So that's the issue, and the issue behind that, right, is the idea that men's rights. Men's rights is a huge issue behind that, because they feel that something is wrong. And something is wrong. We can take a look at society. We can take a look at suicide rates. We can take a look at incarceration rates. We can take a look at men not getting their child. We can take a look at many different things. But something is wrong. And so they're asking these questions, and when they're left in this echo chamber, the answers continue to get worse and worse and worse. So if we don't talk about this as a society, what you're suggesting is the problem is only going to get worse, not because it's a problem, but because it's a symptom of the problem. And sure, we can put a Band-Aid on it, but it's not going to fix the issue. Eventually the water's going to leak, and you're going to have a much bigger issue when the Band-Aid comes off.
He was talking to me. He was talking to me. I already said that we need to have men's rights be an actual thing that's talked about within the United States. But the lack of sex is what I'm pointing out. That doesn't fucking matter. It comes down to men's rights issues. It comes down to mental health issues, not the fucking lack of sex. Okay, these people will probably go down this pipeline for any small reason other than fucking not being able to get laid.
Yeah, so also made a point earlier when he was talking about women criticizing men.
If we're circling back to the question of sexlessness, Joe had a bunch of data on that, and I just have a genuine question for Joe. This isn't a gotcha, but just seeking to clarify. If it's the case that we see certain economic conditions being the most consistent predictor or cause of these sexless conditions, do we see a similar spike or a comparable spike in the kind of sexlessness that we're describing now, say in previous economic crises like stagflation or anything like that?
And in other countries as well.
When you say you right down to the hem length of dresses, you can predict economic factors from how long dresses are and things. There's loads of things through the Great Depression period, and also generally through the fall of different empires and economic factors. You can look at Puritanism in British history is actually in reference to the economic conditions around those particular periods. So yes, sex and economy track all through human history.
And even today, this same thing doesn't even just show up in the Western world, but also in the East as well. And it's all independently centered around economic conditions. The thing is, though, I wasn't saying oh, that's the only thing we should focus on. That's the root for the issue. Because with any other political issue, any sort of issue, first of all, the root of this issue is sexlessness, by the way. It's a lack of relationship. So I don't, that's just the fact. But then the other thing, too, is the other issues are implied because of that. Because when you have a political or individual issue that is that you can center a large community around, they tend to scapegoat and victimize another group for their issues. and that's just something that's consistent through all of politics.
I want to push back on you a little bit, because like when we're talking about sexlessness, we need to be really fucking clear here, because this is part of, again, the problem with the incel community. It's talked about as sex, like there is like this like human meat conception of women. But if it was just sex, and again you can look at like the data of the increase in the sex industry for an example of this, and that it's not actually helping. It's not just sex, it's that men, while we have an interaction like socially or biologically or whatever with sex, and the way we approach it is different to women, it's not just that, we need that closeness. There's something we can't get from prostitution.
If it was simply sex, listen, this is very short. This is very short. If it was just sex, right? If it was just a feeling of getting off, then they would be totally fine with just a fucking fleshlight or one of those like fucking $5,000 like little silicone ass things that they can fuck. But that's not the problem. It's not just the sex. It's the fact that they also want the closeness.
The reason I'm using the term sexlessness is because it goes beyond involuntary virginity. Involuntary virginity is tracked with sexlessness. The only reason I use sexlessness is just because it's the most like vague thing I can use to track like vague data, and it's not like specifically about just fucking one person. So or getting.
I'm just trying to clarify down, because I know how other people might read that.
We can
so
talk
I'm just trying to
about,
get that. Like,
there's a crucial element.
We can talk about involuntary virginity. And it's gonna have the same rate and the same root cause.
There's a crucial element I think that we're missing here, and that's that men growing up are socialized to believe that if they're not having sex, that they're failures, right? So like that's a big part of it. So when you're taught all growing up, like you got to have sex, you got to have a family, you got to have kids, you got to do this and that, you got to have a woman who loves you and you love her back. Those are all great things to have. Don't get me wrong, but when you're taught that like if you don't do that, you're a failure. That on top of the economic conditions, on top of the social interaction that we're losing slowly because of the economic conditions, the internet, whatever else, these all compound into one gigantic problem salad, if you will, that, these all of these elements play off of each other. So I think looking at any one individually is not going to help. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's acceptance that people are looking for. It's not necessarily, oh, I just gotta fuck. Or it's not just like, oh, I gotta find a girlfriend. It is the fact that because I don't have a girlfriend, because I can't find someone to fuck, because I can't do these like things that everybody else seems to either be able to do or is expected to do, I am somehow inadequate as a person, right? I'm not fitting into the social order in the way that I'm supposed to. So what they're actually looking for at the end of the day is some sort of recognition that they fit in. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
the problem we're having in this conversation was no matter what we say, we keep criticizing men, and we're not talking about we're living in a society that's creating these conditions that men are falling into these traps. So we're just going to keep criticizing men. I think the hyper criticism of men is a big contributing factor to the reason that men are falling into these traps.
Okay, everyone here is going to agree that women contribute. Just real quick. Is there anybody here that seriously doesn't think that women have no role in, for example, some of the problems that men are facing? Like, I think it's a fair point to make that societally we don't talk enough about the problems that men are facing, but equally, not every conversation about men's rights needs to suddenly become a conversation, well, what about women too? In fact, I think that's part of the problem, is the fact that every time we try to talk about men's rights, feminism has to come up. It's a component that should be discussed, but it shouldn't be our primary focus, and this is part of the reason that we, as men, trying to advance our advocacy for our issues are constantly fucking getting in the way, is because we have a real problem, I think, focusing inward.
No. If you understand women for their problems, a lot of them blame women for their problems. If you understand feminism for what it actually is, you
women criticize, ironically.
You would understand the feminism
for having we're all going to give our hottest take on this issue, okay? 1, 2, 3.
It's Stardust's fault.
I think guys should just get over it.
It's all Stardust's fault.
That's the person to bring up women initially in this conversation.
All I was trying to say,
I'm not calling it
the island idea.
I'm not pulling up women to discuss an issue that women have per se. I'm pulling up women to discuss an independent factor that we're not talking about. That was the point of me bringing up women. It's not to say women have it bad too.
Well, I
was
would
just
say that
trying to say
women
that feminism is
that
not
women do criticize men
inherently
for like
Here, I
having
want to hear
their
from Lime
desires.
Potatoes. We haven't heard from Lime whatsoever. So Lime, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that women do criticize men for having their desires. And I think, like from my perspective, what the red pill means is that men's desires aren't treated equally and they're looked down on. So a woman who says, "I want an older guy who makes more money than me," and da da da, is perfectly acceptable. But when a man says, "I want a younger woman who I can provide for," oh, you just want that so you can control her. You just want to be a misogynistic, patriarchal asshole. But how can you advocate for that relationship dynamic for the woman unless there's a man who also wants that thing, reciprocity? I see this also with the stigma between men expecting sex from women. With women, I've heard women of all ages, all races say, "Hey, if I have sex with a guy, I expect that he should at least pay for me to get my nails done, or at least pay a bill for me, or something like that." But when the man says, "Oh, I've paid for this woman to get her nails done, I've paid bills for her, I expect sex," oh, now you're a misogynistic race or rapist type guy who just wants to abuse women and take away their body autonomy. It's this dynamic between only seeing things from a woman's perspective, and for me, the red pill is just looking at this from both ways and taking like an objective like description of this reality.
You're combining the views of radically different groups.
Any expectations, any expectations that men have of women whatsoever, like if you want to select for women that are older and have more money and that are going to pay for your meals during dates, that's also going to be seen as misogynistic. So even if you want the younger woman who's like doesn't know what the fuck she's doing in life, or you want the older established woman, which is the dream that women want, they want to have that from men. No matter what you expect from women, you can't have any expectations of women. But women have tons of expectations of men.
Well, on first dates, most women have expectations of men. I'm just like trying to speak from like what I've in regards to this, but like when people on a first date, the first thing you're doing is you're figuring each other out. Like, what can I see that myself with this person? And if it goes on the second date, that means that things have gone better essentially. Now that doesn't mean the relationship is necessarily going to work out, but this whole concept of like, oh well, this is not going to work out, so therefore I'm going to stop dating and I'm just going to start everything is everybody else's fault, but it's not my problem. A lot of it has to do with like, what issues do I bring to the table? Is it my fault kind of deal? What can I do to improve myself? Essentially, that's a lot of it has to do with like, knowledge of yourself before you can move on to be able, because relationships is a two-way street. You can't just say, oh, well, if I'm in a relationship, I'm the alpha, therefore I'm in charge of everything. Like that's
maybe
what
I'm
these,
stupid,
we
but
have
I'm
these
just not
really
comprehending
weird
his
ideas
argument.
of how relationships are. And people seem to think they have these weird, ridiculous expectations when relationships are really very much a two-way street. And some people they can't comprehend that. And that's the thing that most people don't really understand. That's something that we kind of need to work on, really. I mean,
some expectations are good, some expectations are bad, but men and women both put bad expectations on men and each other.
But it's how you work through those expectations.
But women are demonized for their expectations.
No,
it's how you work through those expectations.
Stop.
There's definitely a weird expectation.
There are absolutely expectations that women put on men or each other that they are demonized for. There are some that they aren't. The reality is we live in a very diverse society with a lot of different social groups that have very different views about dating, about the role of men and women. So you can't combine all of these sort of truisms into one person and then surprise when they're not.
That's what relationships are. They're two-way streets. You just can't like expect everything to be one thing and that's it.
You're describing like a good, perfect relationship, which in large part doesn't
communication.
exist.
If you communicate with with whoever you're dating, even if you're on like the first, second, third date, whatever. Like for instance, this Twitter video just came out recently of this guy who was recording this woman that he like imported from like across the country or whatever for like $3,000, and he's recording her because she wouldn't put out for him, right? So there was a social expectation in his mind, and it was a pretty fair expectation given what the society teaches us, that since he was paying all that money that she would put out, right? And he was pissed off. Now, to be fair, it is completely within her right to say no. She's allowed to do that, and we should not be expecting her to put out just because he paid a bunch of money. What I will say is that what we need to work on is communication. If you are paying $3,000 for somebody to come and stay in a hotel for you, be clear. Say, hey, do you find me sexually attractive? Are we going to have sex? Whatever. She would rather you ask than not ask. And if she gets pissed off or weirded out that you would ask, that's a red flag. Dump her.
You really
that's what I
think
gotta say
that
about that.
someone
Prostitution.
communicated for 6
Yeah,
months?
that's
No,
literally
see, but this is
prostitution.
what I was talking about. It's prostitution when a man expects sex, but it's not prostitution when it's the other way around. Like
I
that's what I'm
don't
talking
think
about.
so. I think the whole idea of the sugar, the sugar mommy, that's still prostitution. Like,
No, I'm saying,
Bro,
yeah,
if
from
you're
the
paying
perspective
someone
of
$3,000 and hoping to get laid, it's prostitution.
Well, yeah, I know that,
No.
but a woman
They're
doing
called
that is also
escorts.
prostitution.
No, hold
Okay,
on.
no,
You guys
no.
are missing his point. He's saying that if a woman expects to put out, if a man spends a lot of money, that's like
No,
technically
what I'm
socially
saying is,
acceptable.
no, what I'm saying is the women hold the expectation that if I'm having sex with a guy, he should be willing to spend money on me.
You can make
Right.
the argument.
Yeah, that's
I
just
just
crazy
don't
as
think
fuck,
we should
isn't
say
it?
If I'm
I
going
don't
to
make the
be
argument
around a
if
guy,
I
that he
spent
should be
money
paying
on
for
her.
things.
You could make the argument that
Have
that's a
you ever had
normalized
one-night stand,
form.
bro?
Yeah,
like-
like I'm sorry, like
So,
no,
that's usually where it ends. You know what I mean?
I don't think I've ever paid for a woman's hair or nails and shit. Yeah, I've paid for like meals and stuff, but like that's just. I mean, I've done that for like just male friends that I've had that I've hung out with too. Where it's like,
There's
hey,
a good
you gotta
website
go
you
to a
can use if you
bookstore
want to
with me.
order
Let's go
women's
fucking
hair
look
and
at
nails. It's
bookstrip.
pretty efficient. The delivery time is pretty good.
Is it on? Is it like on the deep web? And do I get the scalp with all the bloody bits too?
It's
Because I
actually,
need that.
because of the liberal media, it's now just on Etsy.
Oh,
You can
okay.
just get it. It's pretty legitimate.
Thanks, Spider.
Go,
Wait, so are y'all really saying that a woman who's having sex with a guy doesn't expect him to spend money on her? Sometimes,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
not
the
always.
ones that I'm fucking,
woman
yeah.
in a relationship-
If that's not the kind of
claim.
if that's not the kind of woman that you're looking for, then don't date the woman that's
no, that's not my
for
point.
shit.
I think anything can be pragmatically done to limit the spread of red pills.
Of one over the other. He's saying that there is a social acceptance of one and not the other. That's what
Someone
he's
just
talking
tried
about.
to ask
we
an
know.
actually
We're
good
disagreeing.
question and they just
Women want
talked over
different
it.
things out of a relationship.
No, they're the exact
Might have
same
been-
thing. This
might
is
have
what
been
y'all are
Queen
getting.
Alexa.
But
They are the
you want to call the man? He's treating her like a prostitute. Like that's what you characterize a man.
Yeah,
who's I've invested this much.
if
in
you-
women, so I
All
need
I
sex
said
from
was
her.
be clear about expectations.
If you buy somebody a gift, is that automatically prostitution?
Okay,
I don't really care
okay.
what you call it. If you
If
call
you-
it
I don't think we have
prostitution,
enough
fine, but-
people on this panel. I think we
True.
need more.
Yeah, we
I
need to
agree. Who wants to
Let's
go on
go.
DM?
Let's
I mean,
go.
it's like
I
a
think
shit
we
show.
need
Come
fewer
on,
women
let's
more
get
people,
the
to be
waiting
honest.
room. Let's go. Bring more people. Let's make
Let's
it a
bring more
40-person
fucking
panel.
people in.
Let's make it a
women.
50-person show.
While
that
we
was-
do that,
That was the first
Okay.
thing that signed was-
Well, we can only go up to 25.
Until
we get one person and then they have to talk.
ideologies. Anybody?
Look, if you
What?
can't find one person to bring on, are you really a streamer? Have you really made friends in
Alright,
the space?
Mike,
If you
put my
can't
link in
find
your
one
stream.
person,
Let them come in here.
I
Let's
like
pull
the
up a random
people.
people in. Let's fucking go.
Mr. Brain Dead, where the fuck are you?
Thank you.
Mr. Brain Dead, come here, come here, come here, you drunk,
Okay, so,
sleepy
well,
I
motherfucker.
over and
want
over,
to point
we
out
keep
just
getting-
briefly, I don't think that incels really know what women are. I don't think that incels are interested in spending
anyone.
time with women. That's why they isolate themselves into groups with only guys, but they're not really into guys. So I think that half of them should transition and get breast jobs, and then they can all start jerking each other off, and then it solves the entire problem.
Didn't you say that you were an incel though?
These are the solutions I come here for. Excellent.
Yeah.
You said you were an incel, so what are you?
I think
Hey, do you guys think tech companies have a responsibility to stop the spread of red pill?
No.
it's
No,
gonna
God,
be,
no, not at all.
No.
Just
some
no
do, but-
red pill arguments. That's all you gotta do.
apparently.
The red pill arguments are
it's
ridiculous.
just
half the time,
shitty
so-
dating advice.
Well,
If
it's
they
people
put it
getting
in shitty
radicalized in a
dating
way,
advice.
isn't it?
It
Isn't it like
really
the,
is a
isn't it
shitty
like
dating
flat
advice.
earthers
I
kind
know
of?
you're a total loser, but act like an alpha Chad, and then you'll get laid.
Again, if you have to say you're an alpha, chances are you're not a fucking alpha. It's that simple.
If
It
like
depends
social
on
media-
how
if-
many
if-
guns you have, right?
If tech companies should curb it, then they should also curb like fucking horoscopes and crystals.
Look, what you have?
No.
Reservoir. What you have?
I'd be down if they curb those also.
Fuck yeah, no, look. I think anybody who says shit like, "Oh, Mercury's in ascendance" or something, should be like literally just locked away. They can go.
No, I think it should be.
Honestly, as somebody that says those things, right? I think that's super base, but only because I don't want to consent.
Well, to be fair, I'm imagining that's what your horoscope said this morning, right? Some angry Ed Sheeran lookalike's gonna scream at you about your weird fucking astronomical.
No, it really what it said
That's
to me
who you
this
look
morning
like.
is that I have the shits and I've been shitting my brains out for
Rito, what if
days,
I say
and,
I'm an alpha?
That's really
might
it.
wanna go
Does
to
that
the
make me an
doctor,
alpha?
man.
I think
Go to
I'm
the
an
doctor.
alpha.
Yeah, no, it's just I got a stomach virus and stuff. stuff, it was bad, right? And
What's
I
a
got that
woman
stomach
gonna
virus
think of you
because I
if
ate
you
hot
admit that you go
dogs,
to the
which
doctor,
were the
though?
true food of men everywhere.
Is that a talking pinata?
Yes.
You ignoring chat.
It's flow trace.
Have you thought about having a tapeworm?
Honestly, mostly because like, yeah, I've been feeling kind of chubby lately, and I feel like I'm not living up to what the man idea is, and I know that that's a quick way for me to lose weight.
I've been
And I think
getting a
that
tapeworm myself. You know,
Yeah.
if you know somebody that has them, let me know.
Yeah, exactly. So like, but the thing is, we can go ahead and I can move back to my socialization issue, which is something I want to talk about this with the tapeworm analogy, right? Where there is this very specific type of idealized, body type that everybody is supposed to want to have, and like, the way that we look at ourselves, like Star was getting at earlier with the dysmorphia thing, and I think this was somewhere where Smoker missed what Star was saying, but I think that we can like kind of pair the two together, where really like the idealized type of men. We're looking at fucking Vegeta. We're looking at Goku. And at no point can we ever assume that we as humans can become Saiyan. It's a literal alien species. I think that it ruins the way that we look at ourselves. And I
think that
I know one person who literally, because of that, developed an addiction to, well, not addiction, started using steroids to try to get that perfect body. And I think that that's actually something that Star has a lot of good in what she was saying. So
there's something to be said for
We should
that.
love our big,
But
beautiful men.
I do think that a lot of people get lost in the idea that like that's the only body type that women love. And I know that you guys probably don't literally think that, but I think that it's a little bit less strict than most people think, because like you see things like dad bod, right? The dad bod and whatever.
Femboy.
Or like a big
Dad bod's
boy
a joke,
winter,
though.
whatever it is.
Like,
right?
Dad bod's not a joke.
I think it's a joke.
Dad bod's not a joke.
Dad bod's
I'm trying to pretend like it's my personality, not my body. God damn it. Okay.
Women like to cuddle. They like the heat source that you off of dad.
So-
It's not
scientifically
So wait.
What about mom bod though? Like,
what about like
once
the skinny
you turn
body
30,
type,
moms are
right?
like,
Like think about it.
Can we talk about the body type of BBC?
That's like
no.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Shut up the panel real fast with that one.
Where's this wind?
I'm talking about
earlier.
What I'm saying
Somebody said
is-
that. Earlier,
What I'm saying is, there are different types of bodies that women like, and I think there is something to be said for like you see somebody like Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, of course, like the vast majority of people would say he's objectively attractive. I'm not personally sexually attracted to that, and I think a lot of women also, like straight women, probably are not. Take my girlfriend actually. She likes different types of bodies. She likes skinny boys. She likes boys that are like bigger. There's like a whole range of types that women are into, but we just don't hear about it a whole lot. You know what I mean? So like, I think that there are certain, I don't know. I feel like that sometimes the incel and red pill community hyperfixate on like the Chad body type when really that's just one small element of it.
Well, yeah, because they're already fucking mentally ill.
The thing is, women don't talk about their sexuality. Women don't express their sexual objectification of men. So men don't know how to objectify themselves for women, because so women women know what men want. They know exactly, but like men are just like, be a giga chat, and women don't talk about what makes them horny because their locus of power is their sexuality, that traditionally, and so to talk about what makes them horny forfeits that locus of power.
No, different
women
things
are just as bad as men. What are you talking about? Women are just as bad as men with their sexuality.
What are you talking about? Like,
things make different people horny.
Women are just as bad as men when it comes to sexuality.
Different
You
women
are living in another world,
Socially.
Alex.
You
You
can't
live
deny
on
that
another
socially
planet,
that's
bro.
not acceptable.
No, you heard it. You heard it.
on
Who the
another
fuck?
planet.
Remind me again. Who thought a 25-person panel is a good idea, guys?
I live on
Chat.
Mars. I live on Mars.
That is just
We all
blatantly
heard
wrong.
Alex just
It's
say
not
women are
blatant
bad.
wrong.
It's
Women are
no,
just
it's
as
not
bad as
blatantly
men are.
wrong. It's blatantly retarded, is what it is. Okay?
Here's the thing.
Oh my,
you
really? Why?
Hey,
That's what
yeah.
you say so?
Tom,
So listen,
you would think that, Tom, you would think that if you never talk to women, which I thoroughly believe that you don't talk to women, right? And I this incel stream, it's definitely true, right? Women objectify men all the fucking time. All the time.
That's
And
not what we're
another
talking
thing,
about.
too,
That's not what
I
we're talking
will-
about. Stop
He's
going
right.
off topic on
That's
racial
what we're
crap,
talking
please.
about.
Stop. You guys
Wait,
really
we
have
were just
issues engaging on the
objectifying.
topic that we're
We're
currently
just
on.
objectifying women.
Okay, everyone,
That's not what we're
everyone,
talking about. So first off, I have
Shut up.
They gotta hide their power level.
okay, Tom, now you get to talk now. I'm gonna give you the floor.
I have no issue having. I have many girlfriends all over the place. I have girlfriends all over the world currently. I could call any of them right now.
G right here.
But no,
Over here.
the women do not like talk about porn. They don't objectify men in the same way. They don't talk about men. They don't catcall men. They are not open with their sexuality the same way that men are. There's no way you could possibly.
You're just
think
not
that
paying
that's
attention,
women
Tom.
You're not talking. You're not talking.
I've been
You guys
doing
are
You
not
aren't
talking
talking to Geminis, Tom. That's the problem.
I've been doing this for so long. I've been trying.
This guy's out here chasing Sagittariuses.
Women consume pornography at the same or higher rates than men do. That's ridiculous. There's empirical data to show that.
I've been trying to make porn for
You're
straight
still
women.
not
I'm a
on the
straight
same
man trying
topic. I
to
don't know what the
objectify
ratio is.
myself on the internet. I've been making porn, and I want to attract straight women. And people
I
are
will
telling me,
tell you
"Oh,
how."
you're never gonna get that unless you only way you're gonna get like an audience is if you go gay, it's LGBT, go trans or something, because straight women are never gonna fucking follow you or whatever, because that they just don't. Like you can't
can
be
go
a
fat.
man.
I
and-
think
In order to be,
I think you can
wait,
go
hold on.
a
Maybe
little
I misunderstood. Did you
fat
say in
boy.
order to
tell you
get
how.
women, you have to be gay?
Samantha,
I
I'll
want to
tell
hit
you how.
Stardust. I want to hit
Smith,
Stardust.
the giant
full
stop sign in the back. That's why they're stopping.
It's something. It's something, that's for
Oh,
sure.
it's giant and a pussy more than gay men.
The way that you get a straight woman following is that you post thirst trap pictures of you doing housework, doing things around the house, raking leaves and shit, fixing the pipes and
Dishes
shit.
That's
and
not
laundry.
sexy.
See,
That's
this
being,
is like
that's being
the
a-
Dishes and laundry.
that's the
Listen.
traditional male role of being like a machine that does labor, but that's not sexuality.
That's
Yeah,
why I
but
said
you
BBC.
do it with your
you know?
shirt off. Do it with your shirt off, with your clothes off. Do it with an erect penis. There you go.
The pool
That shows you're
boy.
willing to contribute to house chores around the house because doing house chores is very vital,
No,
honestly.
porn. I'm not looking for women that are going to contribute. I'm looking for sexy women that I want to fuck.
Right,
If
sexy
women don't
women
fucking
are gonna look at you and they're
Why
gonna be
should a
like,
woman
"That's a
fuck you,
guy
Smith?
that." Hey, shut up.
Jesus
the
Christ.
women are
Why
gonna
shouldn't they?
the
Let's
women
all
are gonna
talk
look,
over the woman.
the women are
All
gonna
right,
look at
how
the guy.
wrong we want to be.
Now there's something we
Men
can
might
agree on.
need to when it comes to men's problems, men need to lead.
I'm here to fight
men
for
need
I'm
to
trying to
lead
give
the
it
thing.
good advice
Stardust
to
should
Smith
go.
about how to get straight women to be.
No, I don't
interested
need
in
it.
his thing.
I don't actually need advice. I don't have a problem. My social experiment is trying to do the thing that women do, with just objectifying myself. It's not like I have problems. I'm trying to objectify myself and just be sexy online, post like sexy
Yeah,
stuff.
so you need the
And-
Chad Hemsworth type body, just
and
like
so,
women
yes.
go out and get the BBLs and the big
There's
breast
only,
implants.
like you can, if you're a woman, you can express your sexual creativity online, and then men will be really attracted. If you express your sexual creativity, women will call you gay. The only you can only do one of three like very stoic poses with
That's
an
what I'm
erect dick.
saying, though.
Yes,
You
and
gotta
so-
do shit around the house while you're naked and your penis is out, bro. That's how you do it.
Anecdotally, I will say this. Anecdotally, before I started working out and weightlifting all the time,
Okay, take
I
notes.
used to be really skinny. All right, I competed in martial arts and I was really thin for martial arts. So before I started weightlifting heavy, before I started getting bigger, I would go on Tinder, and I was a teacher at the time. I got objectified like a motherfucker. Everybody I swiped right on, every single girl was like, "Oh, I want to be in your class. I want to get extra credit. I want to do this for you. I want to do that
That's
for
not
you."
objectifying you.
Yes, it is,
Are you
dog.
sure none of them were your students? I'm a little fucking concerned.
No,
now.
that's not.
That's
Saying
how
I want to be in your class isn't objectifying your body.
sex with you.
Oh no!
The only place that men are allowed to be sexual is on Tinder. The only place that men are allowed to.
True.
No, it's not.
Guys,
Sexualized all the-
What
once
about
again,
Grindr?
More. Touch grass.
anecdotally, anecdotally,
Chat, do I make this real and talk about how the real objectification of men comes from the fact that no one believes that men can be sexually assaulted? Do I make this shit real and bring that up? I don't know if it's worth it on this panel.
Like flirt with people
Smith,
when you're in a
if
place
you-
where you probably don't want to be flirted with.
Smith, if
It's
you
like
went
humor.
to go, Alex, I'm gonna shoot myself. Okay, I'm gonna do it on camera. All right.
In video games.
In Minecraft.
All right. So, Smith, if you went to go flirt with someone at the gym, yes, you would be seen as a creep. If me and Alec went to go flirt with a girl at the gym, they would see us as sexy. They would
Hold on, I disagree with that. So flirting with women at the gym is generally a no-no. Just so you know. Now, I think there are exceptions. I think there are exceptions, but women are generally not there to be picked up.
Okay,
it's literally like
if
like
women are at the
it's
grocery
objective.
store, not to be hooked up with. Women are at the grocery store, like anywhere women go, they're not there to be looking for a hookup, but you approach them and talk to them. That's how you meet women.
No, you can't. No, that's why I said there are exceptions. You can't. Think about like as humor, right? Like I could tell a joke and it could tank completely, and Joe could tell a joke and it could fucking succeed. That's all about like it's the same fucking concept.
It's literally delivery. It's delivery and context.
How you present. It's how you present yourself as well. That's really important.
That's what's really. I'm just saying that there's a social
doing some
stigma.
housework, going around with the garbage outside with a shirt off.
Let's be real.
Rake some leaves up.
Rocking the dad bod.
When you go up to a woman at the gym,
I don't want to get creative with it.
Not complain.
When you go up to an attractive woman at the gym, the first thing that they're thinking is this guy. Like if you start talking to them and say, "Hi, how are you?" The first thought that usually comes to their mind is, "This guy's trying to pick me up." I mean, that's just reality. Okay, that's reality. So if that's their first thought, that doesn't necessarily mean they don't want to be picked up or that they're not flattered by it, although it often does mean that. But what it does mean is that, like, you know, you shouldn't be that blatant about it. At least maybe start like if you can start like a regular normal conversation and be a normal human being for a few sessions and you guys get along and that's fine, then yeah, that could work. But you know, there are very bad approaches that people take where they try to give like their number out on the or like try to get the girl's number on the first exchange and like before they even know you, the alarm bells go
No, but you're making this assumption that you're going to meet this woman again. Like this whole it takes 3 or 4 interactions, then you can ask for a number. Like that's not practical in most situations because you don't know if you're going to see that person again. Like
I think that's a doomer pill.
I would like to weigh in on the gym
that's
thing.
reality.
Yeah, that is a realistic take.
In the gym, why a lot of women don't like being approached is because while you're working out, you're in a really ugly state, and you usually don't want to interact with people while you're in that ugly state. At least that's how I
get that. I get that. I'm not
such a bad take.
No,
that's a good take.
No, that's part of
it's right
because it's
right.
It's based on their perception, not on reality.
It's right. My point was only that there are situations where you can flirt in the gym and it'll work, and you shouldn't like think that it's impossible. We're just getting stigmatized more and more. There's no don't ever do it at the gym. Just do it and don't fuck it up. Do it right.
If you're being a normal
if you fuck it up,
person,
take responsibility for it.
But here's
the issue. If you're being a normal person,
wait.
That the woman feels like she looks like shit at the gym, so she probably doesn't want to interact with anybody.
Here's the issue. Here's the issue, right? One second.
I don't know why they're so stuck on the fucking gym thing. It's kind of stupid to me, not gonna lie.
Attractive man comes up and tries to flirt with a girl at a gym, it's okay. If an unattractive man tries to try to flirt with a girl at a gym, it's harassment.
True.
Explain that one to me.
True.
That may be
If you're an ugly, you're an ugly.
That's true for any of
Spartacus, that may be true in some cases, and I would say that that's some bullshit when that does happen. But I would say
that happens in all cases.
For the most part, women in the gym, for the most part, with women that I know, when we go to the gym, we feel very ugly when we're at the gym. We don't want anybody approaching us, whether that's an attractive dude or not. So
yeah, that's you and your friends are based off of an anecdote, right? We can take a look
if a guy's
at like
around
stuff.
The gym and an attractive woman comes up and hits on him, he's like, "Oh yeah, a hot chick is hitting on me." But if an ugly woman comes hit on him, like, "Oh Jesus Christ, get the fuck away from me!" That's exactly what he's thinking. I mean, it's
that's the amount of ugly.
Guys don't go out and say it's harassment. Guys don't go out and say it's harassment. Guys are gonna say no. They're gonna decline, right? But they're not gonna say it's harassment. They're not going to turn around and say this is
Hold up. Wait, guys.
The difference is that a 3 out of 10 woman. The difference is
I promise you, it's not just about how attractive you are.
The difference is that a 3 out of 10 woman isn't going to get called like being harassment, right? As long as she has a functioning vagina, she has a better chance of like that dude accepting. A 3 out of 10 dude has 0% chance of not being called like some creep harassing person.
That's
okay. No,
that's
listen.
not
Listen.
true.
You guys need feminist pill here, okay?
Listen, like I said, in general,
it's
the
a
gym is
horror
not
for
the
women
best
to have to
place
get hit
do
on
it.
all the time, and it's a horror for women to have to get hit on all the time. It sucks to have to be the vetter of who's the psycho and who's not the psycho, and it's also a horror for men to have to be the fucking predator that has to fucking seek out women. It's a horror on both sides. I think we need to fucking go more close to the center.
Smith, no. There's something worse here. No, guys. What? No. Wait. Stardust, wait. Stardust, wait. Stardust, wait.
You
One
go
sec.
ahead and then I'll go after you.
There's another issue in that, Smith, and we can take this further and more serious for a second, in that women are allowed to be sexually assaulted. Men, there is no such thing, right? From a society standpoint, men cannot be sexually assaulted. That is pure objectification, if you ask me. There is no higher level of objectification.
I think if you asked most people, like the vast majority of people, if you ask them if men can be sexually assaulted by women, I think they'd say yes.
People post it happening. People post it actively happening.
I think the larger issue.
You need to set aside whether or not 61% or 49%.
The larger
there is
issue.
undoubtedly a significant portion of our country that does feel this way.
Is this that same society that like ran around saying you're raping me with your eyes?
Oh,
like,
who let
are you
fucking
fucking
start
retarded?
again?
Yes.
Oh god, what's
Okay,
this?
one
What's
second.
this?
This is gonna be perfect.
Panel about? I'm scared.
It's a battle. It's about us
Wait a
fucking.
minute, one second. Stardust wants to make one point. My point is that everybody on the count of 3 is going to give their hottest take on this again, okay? 1,
Before we do that, else what
Three.
it is.
Stardust sucks.
Wait, sorry. Can you all
Smug
please?
is wholly responsible for the incel plague crushing us, and now he's turned up. The sheer fucking gall of this PNG motherfucking stream.
Speak at the same time. One more time, please.
Before we
Also, just for the record, what I actually meant to say was women suck and Stardust stuck came out.
I have a solution. I have a solution.
We've had your solution.
Is it the final solution?
Before we go,
oh boy,
a solution to the incel problem.
Yeah, Flowtrace,
Shut.
I think to answer
Universal
for that
mental
particular
healthcare.
question, if women are asked, can men be
Shut.
sexually assaulted? I think they would say yes. But I think in practice, when
Okay. I said shut. I will mute the entire panel as I say this. Okay. Smugbug.
So, yeah, what's up? Hey, how's it going?
We're doing how do you feel about incels and Redpillers? And the second thing, let's get more people in here. Let's make this the biggest show I ever did. Come on. Let's get more people in.
Because
This is
then nobody's
35.
gonna be
We're
able
all
to hear
there.
whatever anyone's saying.
I'm the only real red pillar here. You all are still stuck in the fucking matrix.
that's pretty true.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
The
Matrix is cozy.
Wait, the impact. Well, okay, right. So red pillars are basically just a.
Oh god, it's a red coat.
Yeah. Red pillars are just like
that a fucking goblin, motherfucker.
focusing. Okay, all that's happening with the red pill community is that you've got this existing, I'm gonna say it, patriarchal structure, and then they focus it into getting things they want, like money or women. Right? They abuse the current structures that are in place so that they can manipulate women, or so that they can manipulate men into getting money from the men. That's
You
it.
don't have
That's
to.
how the
You
red
don't have to
pill.
Wait,
manipulate.
are you
hold
saying
on,
that
hold
it's
on.
coming
when
because
men go out?
we
No,
have
men. Hold
a
on.
current system that favors men
That
like
was
that
that was
already?
that was retarded statement. So
Everyone
here's the
stop.
thing: they're not abusing a system, right? All they're doing is taking advantage of the system in place. Wow, good.
That's
Make money.
taking
improve
advantage.
yourself. You don't have to manipulate women. You don't have to manipulate. You do not have to manipulate women. You do not have to manipulate women. You do not have to manipulate women. If you have status, if you have money, you don't have to take advantage or manipulate women. Women will fucking run after money and status on their own.
Wait, bro, why? Why will they? Why will women
Because
run
they're
off
greedy,
the money?
gold-digging people trying to distract you from their goals.
Well,
They're
even
not
if
acting
that's
she-devil
true-
whores.
Hold on. Even if that's true, why
is.
has society? Okay, cool. Even if that's true, why has society put them in that position? Why did they
Society
end
has
up like
not
that? Is it biological?
Because society doesn't want to deal with the whining bullshit when they push back, right? Do you want another wave of feminism that's going to get progressively worse and worse?
Who made women like this? Was it God?
No, it was feminism. It was them.
It was the Masons, actually.
It was
let's be
feminism. It
honest.
was feminism destroying. It was feminism.
It was the
feminism.
Masons.
It was feminism destroying traditional family values by telling women that they can go out and fuck whoever they want until they're 30, and then when they hit the wall, they expect some simp to take care of their past mistakes.
Women weren't gold diggers before feminism. That's your claim. Women were not gold diggers before feminism.
It was the Masons that did it.
Gold digger is a negative connotation for it. I think it's just the female sexual reproduction strategy to seek and improve resources through their mate.
This is K-type reproduction.
I mean, women had to be gold diggers. They had no choice but to be gold diggers.
Feminism, but now women have more options. So now they can be gold diggers, or they can be.
I don't think it's gold digging. It's just being honest with what the actual. Women want to secure resources for their offspring, and they select the partners that are able to provide resources for that offspring. Whether it's the ability to actually provide food and sustenance, or to protect, or financial contributions.
You can't see women as anything but fucking breeding machines, can you?
Okay. So then, if we agree,
no,
right,
I'm saying that as I'm talking about this as humans as animals have this strategy. It's the same reason that men have a tendency to go for more attractive women with features that are indicative that they're going to have children. Larger breasts, wider hips, all that sort of stuff is kind of hardwired into at least heterosexual guys' brains as this woman will produce children, and I want more children.
This is great.
Because we all have a genetic desire to continue on our lineage.
Hold on. To connect this to what Smugbug is saying. The capital is used as a signifier.
Capital. We're talking about biology now.
Well, no, we're not, because we're talking about whether or not we seek out status, and capital is just a signifier of status.
Yeah, but he's just going to say that it's about the biology,
just
right?
another way of yes, we are saying that it's biological for us to look for. Hold on. We're saying that it's biological for people to look for safety and security. But you're connecting this to status, and I'm saying status is just another signifier of safety and security, and that's what he's saying as well.
Yeah. So let's just keep this super simple and not nuanced, okay? Women are seeking resources, whether that's status or money or whatever else. Everyone seems to, at least people on that side of the aisle, are saying that it's based on a biological mismatch, and that, which again, this is where it's sourced.
Not a mismatch. It served us pretty well for less 5,000
sexual
years.
dynamics, evolutionary dynamics, whatever you want to fucking call it, all right? Be autistic if you need to, but just do it while muted. So then at that point, right, we have this established set of behavioral pressures on women to seek out these resources based on the evolutionary biology, whatever else, right? So then we do agree, because my original point was that the red pillars are just leveraging this biological reality to manipulate women. Now, we can disagree on whether that biological reality has become a social reality. It has. But and whether it's necessary because it's biology. I obviously disagree that it's necessary. But that's what's happening, right? Red pillars are abusing those mechanics to try and get the most out of their relationships with women in order to get. Cool.
And women are trying to
make
get the most out of their relationships with men.
I don't think that's the current prevailing societal meme that's being pressed, at least in terms of the wide scale thing.
Sorry, are you about to go into this whole we currently live in a matriarchy because feminism won angle?
I didn't say that. I just don't think that's. I don't think that the current prevailing societal narrative is a wholly pro male one, which is why we have more and more MRA and red pill type people that are coming out as a direct reaction to this.
I think Flowtrace made a good point. The patriarchy isn't pro man; it's just an existing structure, right?
I don't even know. I'm curious. In what specific way is our current society patriarchal?
Well, I mean, I guess you can look at economic outcomes. For example, I don't know, men are only 95% of CEOs. They're 80% of American Congress.
Is that statistic currently stagnant or static, or is it changing?
It's probably changing over time. I would imagine it's changing in a positive direction. But that doesn't mean the problem is fixed.
If it's changing in a different direction to accommodate women, is that inherent in a patriarchal system?
I think the
you
system
define
is
what you mean when you say patriarchal.
Let me ask you this.
You want an answer to your question?
Flamenco,
Flamenco,
let me ask
you want
you
an
this.
answer to your question?
Hold on. If I'm a 300-pound man and I drop down to 250 pounds at 5'5", am I still fat?
You're skinny, bro. But it's changing that direction. Therefore, it's not the
You're already fit, bro. You're done. You don't need to
You're working towards progress. You're working towards progress. If someone,
I don't even know where this conversation has gone. This is like actively rotting my brain. Like, I don't know how we got here.
towards being skinny, that you can't really make
if somebody posts
one-sided.
Hold on. If somebody posts like a before and after photo of you at 300 pounds and you at 250 pounds, someone's gonna be like, "Dude, you need to fucking lay off the snacks, fatty." They're gonna be like, "Oh wow, you're doing a good job. Keep up the good work."
No,
like,
but
I don't get this. I don't think this argument. I don't think this analogy.
We're gonna do that to women now too.
What's wrong with you? Flamenco.
My point is, you would not look at that person and say they're not
Flamenco,
fat.
you're right. Wait, hold on. Flamenco, the deranged take you just gave is actually, like, it serves our point, which is that it doesn't make sense for you to start throwing grenades at the things that are causing that progress. Why would you, like, negatively go, oh, this is yeah, lay off the snacks.
Well, because the societal
why are you trying to
trends that are being pushed towards that are negatively affecting men. And that's why
Because here's the issue, is at this point, they've gotten so far off topic that I don't even give a fuck. That's where the issue is here.
men's rights things and
we're gonna do
the opposite, Alex. We just understand you don't feel that way.
Abolishing slavery had a negative impact on slave owners, bro.
Holy shit! There's gonna be you don't feel that way. You're trying to put yourself in the majority, in the ever-growing majority, and it's not ever-growing. As a matter of fact, it's not ever-growing. As a matter of fact, holy shit! Are we gonna yell at a mic? Is that what we're gonna do, Alex? We're gonna yell at a mic?
I'm gonna fucking yell at a mic because
is that what you think? You fucking want? I can't believe why would you even say that? Now that we're coming back to Earth, right? Let's move towards this, right? So you're not in the ever-growing majority. There's a lot more conversation happening about men's rights. Men's rights is having a lot more people say, yeah, men aren't being treated well. There's a lot more progress towards that side. Your side. You're just factually
feminism
incorrect.
includes men's rights. Feminism includes men's rights. What men's rights?
No, it does not.
Not the latest wave.
Yeah, it should. In reality, they fucking shit on it.
The pure idea of feminism, the pure idea of feminism does include males' rights, but not the latest wave.
Real quick, the original point that Smugbug. Hold on.
The original point that Smugbug was trying to illustrate was that we live in a pro-male society, that the patriarchy does exist. Just because, no, this is the original point. Smugbug was originally making the claim that we live in a patriarchy, that we do live in a male society, and the seeming argument against that was, well, we're moving in the direction of more female CEOs to counter the idea that we have lots of male CEOs as evidence of the fact. That can be true, we can still live in a male society. Just because you're transitioning away from a thing does not mean you are not that thing.
It's prevailing societal means.
And this is a step further. It is absolutely not the prevailing societal idea. It is a prevailing societal idea. But the idea that it's a settled issue that we absolutely need more women CEOs and this is what everyone thinks. I'm sorry, that's just not true.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that specifically. I'm saying that the prevailing societal narrative is that like we need more X and X to be in a 100%.
It is not the prevailing society. Some people in our society, even a significant number of people in our society, believe that. But that is not enough to disprove Smugglers' original assertion.
By
here's the deal.
Establishment media and other entities.
It's pushed by establishment media. It's more to our society than the establishment media.
What's the pinata talking, but not an actual human is talking about human issues?
Because we don't get dogs here.
Right now,
we're taking off, motherfucker. All right.
Right now, if you are I will agree in one sense with Flamenco. If you are like a prevalent figure, you can't just come out and say, like, I hate women. You know, like unless you're Andrew
I hate women.
But unless you do it with like dogs, you know what I mean? Like you still, But you have to be like underhanded about it. Like you have to come out and say things in a dog whistly way. I do agree that in a larger sense, like in broader society, that like
this motherfucker doesn't believe in dog whistles.
The narrative.
I believe in dog whistles. I just think that dog whistles are kind of cynically used to like essentially put words in people's mouths.
You guys not go off topic and let
unironically, people sort of say that there's no difference between Andrew Tate and because of
bullshit.
We're
not going to get into a conversation on women. My point was that he hates women or dislikes women or think women are lesser.
My point was
he definitely thinks women are lesser. I just
back up.
You guys let Alec finish, please.
My point was, it is true, especially because as we all know, corporations kind of own the world right now. Corporations are going to push what is popular, right? Because that's what's going to generate them the most money. And so what we see in a bunch of advertising and a bunch of media is women, female empowerment. We're seeing some like gay and trans empowerment now, which I believe is good personally. But that shows that these are popular ideas. I do agree with that part, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the society, the core structure of the society is catering more to women than to men. You know what I mean? Like you can understand that both of those are true. Because that's all. Hold on.
Societal trends lead you to believe that?
That's all optics. At the core, women are still economically worse off than men for the most part. Women are still victims of violent crimes for the most part, more often than men are, I believe.
No, they are.
I would have to
I think men are actually.
That is very false.
Actually not true.
I'm not sure
Very
about
fucking false.
It'll always be that way.
Doing your own point midway through. My goodness, my dude.
Sorry.
Yeah. Domestic violence, sexual crimes, but not regular violent crimes. So just
my apologies. Sorry, I would have to double check the data.
It will go down your throat.
I think we can sum it up to say that men and women have positions of power.
A good one is healthcare.
In different places.
Women's healthcare outcomes.
Wait. Yes, women have their
healthcare outcomes to be a woman when they have a larger.
Can we give Alec one more sentence because it sounded like he was rounding off to
my point is optically, you are correct. We are catering more toward women optically, but at where it matters, right? Like in terms of economics, in terms of healthcare, in terms of other things I can't think of right now, which I'm sure if you gave me enough time, I could. Women are not doing so hot, right? That's all I'm saying.
So real quick to rebut, I think you're just sort of making shit up. You said that in terms of like overall, women face more violent crime. The FBI homicide
Biscuit, you have some fucking balls. I just saw you join the waiting room. Biscuit, you have some balls.
In terms of like overall homicide statistics, women account for about 3,000 homicides, men 10,000. So they're not doing very well there.
Listen, stop.
Average female life expectancy is also a lot higher than men. So I don't know where you're getting the healthcare outcomes. Unless we're waiting all women's healthcare to pregnancy in terms of abortion.
I'm gonna write a fucking fanfic about you and Flamenco Smugbuck. I think that's the only way we're gonna respond to this.
I just have to talk about this.
In terms of maybe do a children's book.
In terms of like overall salary discrepancies, possibly, but in terms of what fields women tend to naturally gravitate towards, I don't know about that one either.
Also, in metropolitan areas under 30, women are doing better than men right now.
Okay, that's the question. Hold on. No, that's a dumb way to do this. I just want to ask, why do women? Let's take this because look, there's obviously going to be some domains where women are doing better, and some domains where men are doing better, and obviously I think most of us.
Question.
And most of us agree that there are more women. There are more problems, all right, on like the female side, but it's obviously a tough one, right? Now, hold on. Why do women? Yeah, shut the fuck up, moron. Actually, no, answer my question, moron. Because I'm. Just let me finish. Okay. Right. Why do women gravitate towards certain fields? Let me ask you that question. Pure biology?
Prevailing societal memes, possibly some genetic components, but yeah.
Okay, right. So if there's a societal component to it, then if there's a societal component to it, then shouldn't we adjust that societal component? Right? Maybe it's a kind of pressure or an influence on people to go into certain roles.
No, actually, I think that men have.
We shouldn't be pushing women into lower paid roles.
No.
Wait.
Women have certain.
Not even pressure, it's just biological pressure more than anything else.
Biologically, women are going to be drawn to more jobs that are like
That's bullshit.
empathy or
Men have-
education and stuff like that. They're not going to be able to work like a lot of the jobs. And if you're going to sit here and say
Okay,
tech
then
jobs,
why do
right?
we have
We're seeing
why
that
do we
shit.
feel?
Wait,
Let me
just
say
shut up,
something.
you fucking troglodyte retard piece of shit.
Biologically, women are not going to be drawn to doing.
Who let this soy fucking
women
retard
can do
live?
jobs that men
It
can
depends,
do.
I guess.
It's actually factually accurate.
Genetically speaking,
Women
if you
can
wanna
do
go-
jobs that men can do. It's that simple.
If you want to go off
Yes, but they're less.
Everybody,
Hey,
thank
hey,
you so
hey,
much.
hey,
Let the
women
men
can do
talk.
Men can do
women
any
can
job a
do-
man can do. It's that
women-
simple.
Women
Any?
can.
Wait, whoa. Women can do anything.
Men do jobs that men can do, for Christ's sake.
I think that the overarching definitive.
Let the women talk. There's already women on the panel. Let's start us talk.
If women can't do a job that a man can do, then you're out of your fucking mind. If you say women can't do a job.
Okay, well,
Let the woman.
It's Stardust turn. And our monolith.
Oh my Jesus
Alex
Christ.
Hirsch, will there ever be a woman that can
support
competitively
women's
compete in the
rights.
NFL?
It's
And I'll answer your
Goddammit.
question, Flamiko.
Okay,
Oh my
okay.
god.
With some women, yes, women can do some of these jobs that men do, but for the most part, women are not choosing to do those jobs most of the time because, on average, women aren't physically built to be using a jackhammer or aren't really women. Yeah, women are not. Women are not supposed to. Women's are not physically built as often as men are to be doing some of these really hard labor jobs, and
Wow,
that's okay.
biology.
That is
Biology.
okay.
Look at that.
And
Also
most
different
of them
personality trends that draw you to
either,
jobs.
and we should support them boys.
Hold on 1 second.
That is only explanatory. Hold on.
This is a distraction, personally.
Difference in physicality is only that difference in physicality is only explanatory for hard labor jobs, but we still see massive gender gaps in, for example, white collar jobs. Now they still can do those jobs, but an underlying question is there an influence? Is there a preference among women to not choose those jobs? And if so, where does that come from?
We have data for this, right? So if you look
It's
at
biological. It's the idea of nurturing different fucking personalities.
If you look at
countries that actually have high levels of quality, they actually choose those jobs. That doesn't explain the
Cool. So if you look at women in these same white-collar jobs as men, right? Woman is going to have time off for like raising a child. They're going to work about 35 hours on average as a male.
If you look at,
I can do this all night.
Let the men talk, goddammit. Go on.
I just want to say, streaming right now, if I don't get to talk, it's about to lose their channel. I guarantee it.
Okay, don't be shitty.
Oh my God.
Please, shitty.
Don't be finding my channel.
You're gonna lose your channel. Jesus Christ,
I
man.
broke the gender expectation anyway.
I would suggest just muting Tate if you're streaming.
You know what the TOS
Just mute
is?
Tate
I
if you're
do.
streaming if he's
Okay,
This is so pathetic.
Can we hold on.
If I'm streaming on Twitch, you can't take away my channel.
Holy shit.
Okay. Are we having fun? Is everyone having fun?
It's fucking amazing.
Hold on.
I have a new topic for you, though.
I want Samantha to finish her point, and then chaos to ensue.
So women work on average less hours than men in these same white collar jobs. They take time off to raise a kid and have a kid and be pregnant and fucking postpartum care and all this dog shit, right? They fucking take mental health breaks. They like just are less capable in some of these job fields, even in white collar fields, because it's emotions versus logic in a lot of the white collar fields where you need logic. So this is cope, right? Men work harder, have a better like work ethic. They work longer hours and they have better job performance overall.
You're saying that like it's a good thing. Men have pressure.
It is.
Those white collar jobs. Those white collar jobs suck. I think women don't want to do those things because they suck, and women are able to have happier lives.
I don't think that's true.
So then wouldn't the difference be a good thing? Aren't you happy of the difference then at that point?
By what metric are you saying? By what metric are you saying?
I can hear you.
Hold on.
Okay,
This is important. By what metric is trans you saying that men have a better work ethic than women?
Okay.
That's what I
You
want to know.
said earlier that men have issues with
Productivity
It's more
and
likely that
like
they're going to
output.
focus on something like that instead of actually living a more well-rounded life like women do. They have other priorities besides things. Men have socialization issues.
Because
so they
women
don't
inherently
well-rounded
born
lives.
because women are inherently born with value and men have to earn it, so they tend to work harder to earn that value.
Are you being a troll right now, or like?
Are you retarded?
Probably, but also
No, she's dead serious.
The
Those
fact
are
that I
facts.
am doesn't mean anything.
No, but women
You're
are
stupidity.
happier. But women are happier. Like they're unhappy that they don't have these opportunities that men have. So to say that they're happier, why would they be pushing
No,
to work
that's
all
not
these
the real.
jobs?
Like you're listening to a small subset of society, not society as a
Oh,
broad
but
whole,
we
right?
should
If we look
listen to
worldwide,
you, an even smaller subset of society.
like, does anybody take raid coats seriously anymore? I thought we fucking told you to shut your fucking mouth in 1776, faggot.
Fucking slurs. Why? Yeah, we gotta... These motherfuckers. Fucking Andrew Tate said that, I'm pretty sure.
Dare she?
Oh, like,
he
I don't know
literally
if you
said he was
noticed,
going to do that.
My
Yeah,
virginal
he
ears.
just was saying that he's gonna. Anyone who interrupts him, he's gonna go find their channels.
What? Okay, I said shut it. Okay, we disavow that. Didn't happen. Okay. Simple enough. Okay, Beck and Stardust need to go to a different show, a lesser show, but I'm gonna let them allow themselves to shout themselves out and stuff like that. So Beck, go.
Okay, back to Crabs. I've just got a really quick finishing statement. I've dug this up from one of our great thinkers of the history, Francis E. Deck, and I think that it will speak to the economic problems that we're all facing. So, in the words of Francis E. Deck, I face the deadly insidious inevitability of gradual conspiracy, complete and alone and isolated, waiting for my undetectable extermination. I very seldom venture out to one of these last plebeian supermarkets left in this gigantic Frankenstein-infested boarding up ghost town. We already have a sea-god top secret dual food standard, inferior degeneration plebeian masses, vegetables and food for the scum, wholesome normal vegetables and foods. I hide, starving and begging for the incomplete and late delivery of plebeian, especially picked, secretly coded inferior, seriously degenerative, god, unbelievably and scientifically genetically engineered hybrid protein poisoning general soup and pulp hybrid horse radish green vegetables for my vegetarian diet. And I think that that is something that we can all appreciate after a panel like this. Thank you all, and I hope
that older than watch this.
I hope that you all, have inconvenient things happen to you.
Alex, he does.
That's
already happened. I love you, Beckett. I miss you.
All right, guys, it's time for me to go too. I have the debate to go to, so you can find all my links at links.fromstardust.net. Again, links.fromstardust.net. Thanks so
Subscribe to
much.
Stardust.
Stardust rules.
I love you, Stardust. I miss you already.
Stardust is the best.
Fuck Stardust.
Sick is here. Everybody, Sick's here. Say hi to Sick.
Yeah,
I'm also going to
my shit. Fuck you.
I'll be here in like
06
10 minutes.
here. Oh, bring back the gamer words.
Please bring the gamer words.
Guys, do we dip or
Okay,
do
so
we wait
what
it
are we
out?
talking about
What do you
again?
guys think?
Yeah, I got people. Hold on a fucking second. Jesus Christ, we have a lot of people.
Okay, now we can get to the real heart of the discussion now that all the memers are gone. So again, incels don't belong on society. In society, I liked Beckett's idea about putting them all onto an island and forcing half of them at least to go through a sex change. That way they can all date each other.
Okay,
Just turn them all gay. Give them reverse conversion therapy.
That kind of crosses the line
organize
from
the
like
incels. I
societal
support
change
this
into like
plan.
rapey really fucking quick.
I personally
not do
believe
that.
in the
Kind of creepy.
government-mandated estrogenizing program that Dark Brandon is rolling out soon.
It's all about weird like forced sex shit with you guys, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look, we just need to
Don't kink shame.
I thought the incels were supposed to be the rapey ones.
Come on, give it the time.
I thought the incels were supposed to be the rapey ones. Weird.
Well, hold on, but if sex work becomes legal, then what?
Well, he just said
to a
forced prescription of estrogen.
Hey,
yeah, but I'm saying, but if
sex
sex
work
work
Stuff
becomes
is like
illegal,
really creepy.
then we can have like
I'm so sorry that I triggered you. I'm sorry.
we can have government funded programs.
I'm not really
to
triggered.
help
It's
cure
just
these
like a
people's depression
really
with
fucking
access to
weird
sex.
sexual fetish, and I
Sure,
don't
buddy.
think it's very consensual. So it's not
I'll
good.
tone it. I'll dial it back. I'm sorry. I know
Remember,
there's-
you need to get consent. It's very important.
Right,
You don't
of
want to
course.
be rapey.
I'm so sorry.
It's
Is
just
dark braided
CNC.
esthetizing now? Is that what's going on? Because I'm that base.
knows?
Let's go.
I do gotta ask Flamenco, is that like from Columbine right there? That footage right there? I'm just asking.
Yeah, it's
Yes, it is.
Gargura and Amelia Watson on top
Okay.
of Columbine still footage.
I just
Very
want to make
funny.
sure that it was like that picture looked familiar, except for all the animated characters. So I just had to
Yeah.
make sure I was on the
Also,
race.
The autism is strong here.
42099 should have like hinted at everyone that was what it was.
So
Also,
Rumpelstiltskin wants to be unmuted.
Awesome and topical. I love it.
I love
Grump.
Gargura and
Keep
Watson, and I
muted.
think that they would be good school shooters.
Grump.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Look, if we want an actual solution, we could always just make a dating app for the incels and femcells so they can just date each other.
I thought that was that Republican dating app.
The main problem, though, is that the main problem with it is that incels in general, at least from what I've seen, tend to have this sort of like self-feedback loop on their like specialized incel forums. It is very weird to listen to like other men go on about like different facial features and shit like that. It gets really fucking weird when you get into like the like Asian and Indian and like other racial group incel forms. I don't think I've ever seen racial self-hatred on that level outside of like lefty spaces towards whites. It's very fucking weird.
Dude, I get what you're saying.
Well, self-hatred is kind of like a thing they need to focus on. I mean, if they hate themselves, they may need to find a way to love themselves in a way. Because, like, if you don't love yourself, how can you love anybody else?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty simple.
I mean,
the entire issue just goes back to mental health at the core of it.
Self-love. Get out there and masturbate, everyone.
There we go. That's what I'm talking
that
about.
just
Fuck yeah.
exacerbates
See,
it.
fucking empower that shit. There we go.
Look, I know my
I
intro
wanna
is
know what
really
a,
meaty, but
what a
fuck,
red pillar and incel love triangle would look like.
So
An
I want
incel
to
love
point out
triangle?
another thing real quick. There's a scholar that I follow quite regularly. He has this great video about you mock incels because you hate yourself. Again, this is kind of a slur or pejorative that we put onto people that we don't think belong in society. But artists are people that we also view as kind of strange and sort of view as being rejected from society. But you have to have a certain level of a success. You have to put yourself together well enough to be able to like navigate through society without being rejected. Once you get to that point, it's entirely acceptable for you to have these deviant kind of ideas and to try to express these ideas perhaps through film or something like that. But the important thing is you have to have a good haircut. You have to be able to like conduct yourself normally in society.
I
And if you
resent
can't
that.
reach that level and be rich enough, then you're not allowed to be a freak.
Or you could just be a woman.
Yo, you're not wrong with that one. Who's that? Who's the director that's like living in exile because he had sex with a 14-year-old girl but still got it? Yeah, he still gets like Emmys and shit like that. It's fucking wild.
Well, I think there's a really
Definitely
blurry
the artist.
between like what's like you said, incels a slur. I guess is that true that you said that?
Pejorative.
I can't hear you.
It's an insult.
He
Incel
said
technically is
pejorative,
a-
which I would say,
Pejorative.
yeah, incels use as a pejorative more often than not.
God.
It can be. I think that there's a blurry line because when you look at just to make a comparison real quick, when you look at a term like Nazi, right? And I know that right, the whatever, whatever.
Incels are Nazis.
Right, I know. Disclaimer: I'm not calling incels Nazis, but when you
That's
turn
an awful lot of
take a
Asians for a
even
Nazi
though many of them
group.
are, when you take a term like Nazi, right? Nazis were self-proclaimed, like they were self-named Nazis, right? Nowadays, we use that as a pejorative, even though there are still people who self-identify as Nazis, right? So I think that it's because incel was originally a self-labeled term, right? I think that there are certainly people who use it as a pejorative, and typically in common language we use it as a pejorative. But I guess my only point is like there's a blurry line there. Like I don't know if I would call it a slur on the same level as like the N-word. personally.
It's an adjective. It's an adjective. People just don't like it.
No, it is. Hold on. It is a slur and it is a pejorative. It is used as a slur and it is used as a pejorative.
It is not a slur. It is not a slur.
Can you define slur for me?
No,
It's
which slur are we
literally a
talking
slur in
about
the
here?
same word.
Are you seriously gonna go into fucking definitions game? Are you fucking
I'm not really interested. You said incel is not a slur. I'm asking what's your definition of a slur?
It's not a slur.
What's your definition of a slur?
Are we seriously going to go into a
No, I think definitionally,
we're having a disagreement on a word specifically, so it helps to get our definitions out of the way.
I'm saying, here's what I'm saying. Colloquially, the word slur is used to mean something, something that you call somebody to dehumanize them, right? I think with that definition, you could make an argument that incel is a slur, but because of, first of all, the self-labeling of it, and second of all, the fact that incels haven't been subjected to just for instance, centuries of slavery. I just don't think it's on the same level as.
That's not a criteria for something.
No one's trying to take away the specific, baggage of the N-word. They're just saying that the usage of incel has become a slur to dehumanize people's ideological opponents.
Some people wear that shit as a badge of honor. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, I know. There's some people that are like, no, you're not an incel, you're a fake cell. I'm saying though that it's also used as a slur and a pejorative.
Yeah, but there's some women that call themselves bitches. There are black people that call themselves.
Yeah, there's some black people that call them each other. Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, I don't think black people ever drop the hard R towards somebody that they actually like. It's always like the soft A.
It's the same word.
How about we just boycott calling things slurs?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I think honestly, I think
we're just playing a definition.
No, I think it does because you have such a visceral you have such a visceral response against people even labeling the usage of incel as a slur. It's just like, okay, well, no,
we don't need to have this discussion right now.
People are doing that, so you have to at least accept that it is happening before we can even get close to coming up with a solution to the problem.
I don't really.
If you consider incel a slur, then you consider cracker a slur.
Yeah, it's definitely a slur.
Hey, can we be careful with the gamer words? I don't want to get banned today.
What's wrong with you people?
No one's calling anybody cracker.
Okay, shut up.
I don't care what you're doing.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh my god. Oh wait, I'm sorry. You guys
Rich crackers are delicious.
You guys gotta just.
Hey, Twitch admin, we're talking about our favorite things to eat with ranch. Just so we know.
Okay. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Okay. Two things before I let two more people go. For the love of fuck. We know how Twitch is. We know how Twitch can be. Don't break the fucking rules! That's how the show works! That's how we do this! What don't you understand, you retards? Fuck me, man. Okay, tomfoolery. Shut yourself out. Fuck me, man.
Yeah, I'm Tom. I go by Tomfoolery Show. I stream on YouTube a couple days a week. So come check me out there. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, Nonsmoker.
Yeah, twitch.tv/nonsmoker. Second O is a 0. Later tonight at midnight, I'm going to be talking to Kid Notkin about the fallout from that Wick drama. If anyone would like to watch.
Cool. Okay. So this is really basic. Okay.
You gotta get off the Twitch plantation. Go onto YouTube.
I'm aware, Flamenco. I don't stream. This is for other people.
Dude, I have strikes on YouTube and I've never gotten in trouble on Twitch.
That's right. I don't care.
Thank you, Alexa.
Do this show. Grumble. I don't give a fuck what you got to say. You fucking mentally handicapped retard. Shut your fucking mouth. Jesus Christ.
Can we not use those gamer words?
Well, I'm gonna make this real goddamn simple.
Oh, retard's not a gamer word.
We can do this show because we make these big shows where we talk about controversial things. We cannot be breaking Twitch TOS. Does everyone understand from this point on?
100%.
Clear?
Yeah.
Thank you. Continue now. Fuck me, man.
I said yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
Oh,
yeah, no, I would say that I guess it's kind of indicative of the overall problem when people even get this kind of upset when people will label incel or that as a slur when it's used as a slur. I don't know if we can actually address like the issues that the people who call themselves incels actually have at that point. Then
I think
It's not really that I'm upset about it.
it was
It seems kind of
it's just we don't want to get dragged down into the specific
Flamenco, I have a
dialogue
question
of
for
what
you
is
then.
and isn't a slur.
It just seems like self-defeating. Like I don't know. Like you're called an incel and you're like, you can't call me that. That's a slur. It's like, dude, like just calm down. It's
well,
fine.
I mean, if you call it out specifically as like you're not even addressing the point,
Okay.
you're just using this as a thought-terminating cliche. Then no, that is actually kind of useful and important.
Flamenco, I have a question for you. Is Karen a slur?
It can be used as one, yeah, or a pejorative, yeah.
Oh my
What is?
God, no. Oh.
True.
What a slur. I
All
missed it.
pejorative slurs.
Aaron.
All slurs are pejoratives. I'm pretty sure we can agree, but are all pejoratives
Dude, what's a pejorative?
slurs?
Oh yeah,
An
let's go into
insulting
definition
term.
game. What's pejorative? Next thing, what's the and what's this
It's
word?
a
Nevertheless,
word
let's go into
that
this.
is it's a word that's used to basically
my
label
God.
somebody in a negative way.
Can we all agree that
Listen,
if you
yeah,
call
we
someone an
know,
incel
but-
in a demeaning way, that's bad, and then just move on?
I'm gonna go live.
Listen, if everyone's
sure.
calling you an incel, maybe you are one. Like that's all I'm saying.
No.
If you're offended by it, you probably
it
are one.
depends on what you're doing. If you're bitching about how
Yeah.
you can't get laid, then maybe. But if you're just like saying it's like, I don't necessarily know if I agree with like the forced quota system for specific positions because it kind of limits my ability to get into those positions.
Okay, incel.
Well, yeah, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I assume red pill will be a slur then, right?
And also, Flamenco, you make a good point there. So, again, this is all just a very, it's a very like broad topic that is actually an even broader topic.
Alright.
God damn it. People,
That's right.
don't use slurs on fucking Twitch. Just
All right,
don't
we're,
do it.
we're done. We're wrapping this up.
We're
This is a
done.
great show. We're going to close statements. I don't fucking
Yeah.
care.
Okay.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I survived!
Like, I went up showing you square in the face being retards. Okay. Alex, where we can find you. Go.
Okay. My name is Alec Gunter. You can find me on alecgunter.twitch. Sorry, I'm a little tipsy. Twitch.tv/AlecGunter or youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV. That's ALECGUNTER. I had fun tonight. It's been a while since I've done a panel like this, and such a large and loud panel, such a boisterous group of people. Some wacky antics we got into tonight. Basically, incels, like they're typically bad, especially if they're self-proclaimed incels. But I think there's, you have to recognize that there's an individual responsibility on the behavior of incels, as well as systemic problems that lead to inceldom, so to speak. So, like, it's a difficult balancing
brain
act, I
rot
guess.
finally
I'm
begins
gonna
to
take
come
the
to a
big brain
close,
centrist
guys.
route and say that, like, you have to kind of meet both ends of that and say, listen, you can't go around saying that, all women are bitches, and then like complaining that you're not getting laid or whatever, while you smell like doo-doo ass. But also, like, you also have to recognize, yeah, of course, there are like societal issues that like lead to men not being able to get laid nearly as easily. That's true. And that's one of the things I try
Don't
to
be an
address on my
asshole and you can
channel,
probably
which
get laid.
You can find
That's
me
like-
at in the links that I just said.
that's
So if you
all
want to learn
there
more
is
about
to
that,
it.
please come follow and subscribe and whatever else. Thank you.
Before I let everyone else go, let's go. Okay. Thank you everyone for coming, truly. Okay, this was really fun. It's one of the bigger panels that we've done in a while. I don't personally have a problem with slurs. I think slurs are fucking great. But like this Twitch thing, the rules give me
Yeah,
cancer.
get off the Twitch plantation, dude.
No,
You too.
I'm not on Twitch. Again, I don't stream. I've never streamed. Never will I. Okay.
Believe the past
And
tense is Strom.
so that's just how it is. But we have to remember we can't say slurs when other people are on Twitch. It's simple as that. Okay. Don't quit like
This isn't just like a
political
cuck
shit
lib
show.
thing.
Can I say one
Exactly.
thing?
Yeah, I think it's like cuck lib. We'll get to the whole diatribe. Okay. You come join Discord at discord.gg/political shit show. That's where I do all these shows. That's all I have to join my Discord. I don't need your fucking money. Okay. So now we're continue here. Flamenco, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess like overall, I think that people should try to stay away from.
I know my ideas are crazy as shit.
Honestly, I think that a lot of people like Andrew Tate or some other people have very reasonable assessments of the current problems that are in the world. The only problem is that they also tend to go about it in the most cynical, self-serving way possible. It doesn't really serve any sort of societal thing to like get a bunch of women and have them like cam whore for you and take all their money. It serves you, but it doesn't really help anybody else. But you know, when you have an online ecosystem that gets like up in arms and frothing at the mouth of Jordan Peterson of all people, I mean, that's just what you're gonna do.
True.
Alrighty, Flow Trace.
What's up? This was an awesome panel, Alexa. Well done. It was a shit show, but it was an amazing kind of shit show. Well, except for that person who was trying to get people's streams banned. That was pretty spooky. But anyways, no, it was a great panel. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for everyone participating. Thank you for everyone who helped put this thing together. My only the only thing I would like to leave people with is that our society, our culture, sorely lacks a genuine bedrock of advocacy for men's issues. The reality is there is no one on the right or the left that is genuinely trying to tackle the problems with like fathers being second-class citizens in divorce courts or the imbalance in alimony payments. These things are either reinforced by the right when they say things like women are better caretakers. Well, then you can't act surprised that men get shit on in divorce courts trying to be the caretakers of their children, or they use them as a cheap punchline to then sell you their course on how to pick up women on Tinder. We sorely need a real base of advocacy that is not going to wield these issues out as a cheap one-liner and actually try and make progress on them. And until that happens, I think we're going to continue to see these issues get worse, and as a result, things like Redpillers, things like Incels be created as a result.
I do hope to see a lot of these new faces on again, as always, right? Because we always need new faces here. Abolition. What 2 words are you gonna say?
I'm a graphic designer and art historian. You can follow me on Twitter. But I would say slurs are all right, honestly. There's gonna be times where you're just not gonna be able to actually affect the person you're using the slur on, and at that point, it's like, why give a shit? Like, who cares? Like, if you're gonna use it to actually offend somebody, then you're gonna probably face consequences. So I don't give a shit either way.
All right, Sick. You never said anything, but I'll let you check yourself out.
Yeah, I'd say the words per reception on this panel is quite stellar. Okay, incalculable, some might say. All right. Yeah, I'm Sick Unchained. The name's right there. That's it.
All right, Mumbles. I didn't even know you were here.
Oh yeah, no, I just hopped in. I don't need a shout out. Next person.
Okay, ignoring chat.
All right. I think we shouldn't give up on incels, but I did like the idea of the island just from an entertainment standpoint. God, these poor incels, guys. We need a fucking better social dynamics, better friends group for these motherfuckers, so they don't end up shooting up all the schools in America. There is potential for changing people, and we shouldn't give up on them. I'm ignoring chat on everything. You can find my shit posts on Twitter, my streams on Twitch, and my YouTube videos on YouTube, of course.
All right, person's name I'll never pronounce correctly. Go ahead.
Thanks. So yeah, the left creates incels, the right creates red pillars, and it's all indicative of deeper problems within our society that we need to fix. It doesn't come down to sex, it comes down to men's rights and mental health, things like that. Anyways, you can follow me at Twitch, twitch.tv/gorpsync. Maybe someone can say it one day if Queen Alexa cannot.
I'm gonna refuse to say it. It's gonna be the new thing. I'm just never going to actually pronounce your name. All right, so
you're not the only one to do that.
Folks, again, I'm somebody online. Thank you guys so much, everybody, for being here. I think that we were able to achieve a proper bone dialogue. We heard everybody's opinion non-judgmentally and allowed them to fully express themselves, which, again, is the ultimate goal in all of these panels, to reach some sort of clarity.
Wait,
as far as
incels
go, I think that we all need to try to embrace these people a little bit more and realize that they're just deeply flawed and damaged people, especially the incels. They need to acknowledge that first and come back to reality so that we can help them. If you guys need help with that, come over to my Twitch channel, join my YouTube. We talk about these types of topics all the time, and I want to help you to try to better yourselves. If that really is your goal, if all you want to do is fucking shit on the world, well, we can do that too. Come and play. We like doing that shit.
Right, that is called mental illness. That is exactly what mental illness is.
Okay, the Sprouticus.
Yeah, I'm the Sprouticus. You can find me at Twitch and Twitter. And I
obviously, I think that men's rights is a bigger issue. I think that that's what's causing these issues. These are just symptoms of the problem, and if we fix the problem, then the symptoms would go away. Most importantly, and I believe most importantly, I only say slurs when no one's streaming. So,
yeah. Note to self for anyone else who's watching. Fuck me, man. The Alex Kirsch Project.
Yep. So I'm Alex Kirsch from the Alex Kirsch Project.
Trying to keep
you can
the
find
names
me
up so you guys
on
can see
7 p.m.
if
Eastern
you
Standard
want to
Time
know
on
who they are.
Fridays. I talk about politics, and I also do current events on tap, where I talk about beer. I talk about politics as well. Alexa, first off, thanks for letting me be on this panel. When it comes down to incels and red pillars, let's be perfectly honest, okay? Incels, red pillars, stop listening to people like fucking Andrew Tate, Sneeko, and the rest of those fucking clowns. They are not going to help you. They're going to lead you down the path of darkness you're never going to recover from. It is that simple, okay? If you honestly want to find people to look up to, I can name a bunch of people, but that's not going to fucking help, okay? But the fact of the matter is, men, be true to yourselves. Don't try to act like you're some fucking alpha male. Don't try to be somebody you're not. It's that fucking simple. Be a fucking man,
bitch. Crazy.
help out, do chores, the whole 9 yards. It's that fucking simple. Quit being a fucking clown and listen to these guys that are going to lead you down the path of darkness. It's
Beetle,
so fucking easy. Don't listen to these fucking guys. They're fucking idiots. It's that simple. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, Vigilante.
So I'm Vigilante, or you can find me at the Vigilante666 on Twitter and Twitch. So yeah, just like everybody else said, don't listen to Andrew Tate. I mean, and Sneeko and all these other dumb fucks. They're giving you bad advice. We're taught as men to suppress our emotions, and we're fucked over by the algorithms of like TikTok and Twitter, and getting this bad advice from these dumb fucks. Actually go out there, talk to women,
PUBG is definitely bottoming in prison right now as we speak.
That's the only way that you're going to get out of your incel trap. Is the only thing that I can think to call it. There's literally no other way that you're going to get out of it. That's how you get out of it. That's literally how I got out of it myself. So
could you talk slower, please?
That you just have to go talk to women. That's it.
All right, lime mashed potatoes.
Yeah, stop telling men to just be themselves. They are being themselves.
Right. Same, pretty much. Except with like
unattractive
dogs
and
snowboarding videos.
They do need to change that. I think the majority of things that people like Andrew Tate or like Kevin Samuel said, I think the majority of society actually does agree with. It's just their delivery and the fact that a lot of feminists don't want a man to talk and to voice his opinions on things.
Alrighty. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming on.
Wait, you skipped Mr. Braindead.
I don't care. Mr. Braindead's not even a person.
One thing, real fast.
So,
actually, I would like to say one thing.
Braindead's not actually a person. I'm going to disconnect him now because I don't care what his opinion. Alrighty. So, as I was saying, I'm Alexa. I run the Political Shit Show. You can come join us at discord.gg/political shit show. And you all have a great day. I'm going to go under my sink and grab all the stuff under it and drink it after the show. And all of you get on my fucking PC. I'm sick of looking at your faces.
Bye.
You're gonna see it.
I did not think that was going to be a 25-person panel. I was not prepared for it to be a 25-person panel. I'm gonna talk to Queen Alexa, and I'm gonna get on more of her panels if they will be smaller. I will get on panels under 8 and under. 8 and under I will do. I think that is my limit. That was fucking useless. All right, no shit got done. Nothing was actually talked about. Let's be real. Like 2 weeks ago, Queen Alexa showed up in my chat as a first-time chatter and said, "You want to be on a panel?" And I said, "Okay." That's all the information I had, other than that it was about incels and Redpills. So I showed up at the time. I had never even fucking heard of her. Like, I'd seen her in other chats, but like I'd never fucking heard of her. So that was my first introduction with absolutely no context. I could have been a douche, but here's the thing, is I care about my reputation. And I'm not just gonna go on a panel and be a douche to be a douche. And to just like have fucking troll factor. That doesn't interest me whatsoever. So I will not be a douche. At least try not to be a douche unless someone really fucking deserves it.